Okay.
Okay. It's going live, guys.
Okay, letting everybody in. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, doing it.
And recording live.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. We're getting settled here. Broadcasting live from the Life Force meeting. Everybody can hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Today is going to be exciting.
Did that download work for you well from Polly?
It did. So we'll do, I'm not going to put it on this call. We're going to do, as soon as you have time after this one, the meeting, we'll go right in to do that. So I want that put out as soon as possible.
Hank, if you could locate the Viking.
I got him.
And
Good afternoon,
make sure
all.
he's unmuted.
Yep, he's unmuted.
Mr. Viking, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, perfect. Welcome to your first Life Force meeting.
Well, it's exciting.
Today was a very exciting day, wasn't it?
So far, it's been pretty live, yeah.
All right, we got everybody settled in. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and launch. Hey, Sky Company, I just want to let you know, man, I got some of your products in, so I'm feeling a little more super powered now. So thank you for that. Medicinal foods there. We'll probably show those off on another show because I just got them. We got a lot going on today. So welcome everybody to the Life Force meeting. Life Force is a community of doers, people dedicated to changing the world, a community that understands the importance of the moment that we are at in human history, and they are willing to stand up and do something about the issues that so many people spend their time complaining about. So everybody here today, we are going to have a very, very important call today. And I want to remind everyone now and later, you can go to lifeforce.global. And if you go to lifeforce.global, you can get a lot of our documents and a general feel for who we are. And then there's an app there. And now we really highly recommend everyone download the app there on your phone, your iOS or your Android phone, or your iPhone or your Android phone, because that's a private community. And in that community, it is a lot like Facebook. It's a social media community. And we have actually set up groups for every single assembly, every state assembly, as well as many, many countries that are already represented there. And we have some very important action coming up today that we're going to talk about with the assemblies that's going to really unite the communities worldwide to take a common action. And this is very plausible for anybody, even if you don't have an actual assembly. So we're going to lay this out step by step. We're going to show you some of the very clear violations that have taken place by the government right now, overstepping of their rights and violating our constitutional rights. And so it's time for us to take action as a collective. And we will have a special video report to go over that step by step that will launch first on the app, and then we'll put it on the Speak Project. And we expect they might try to take that down. So we'll have it up on several other of our platforms that we have already queued up. We have about 24 different groups that are more than willing to share our information. And we encourage you to do the same. We are very much about getting the message out, less so about trying to just take the credit. So please feel free to download this information and share it. And we're going to have a lot of new things coming out, including the network. And it's all very exciting today. So we're going to start this off, and we're going to get rocking with a report from the assemblies. And I turn it over to the general.
Tank, before we do that really quickly, do you mind? We got some background noise and people are unmuting. So I'm going to mute all. So for all of our guests that are their co-hosts, please unmute yourselves. But I'm going to mute everybody else because we got people unmuting themselves.
No problem.
Okay.
Got you covered.
Okay. All of you co-hosts, go ahead and feel free to mute yourselves.
Okay.
Okay, so for anybody who's got questions or concerns, you can post them in probably, I think on YouTube, we're live right now, so you should be able to put things up there. If you want to trash talk and say mean-spirited things, we recommend that you go to another website and do that. We don't really have time for that here. We're focused on trying to change the world. So if you want to be part of that, please stick around. With that in mind, the general, lay it on us.
All right. I'm actually going to change it a little bit. Can we have Jeannie, the president of the New York Assembly, go first? She's got a
Sure.
real quick one covering just a few things with some of the assemblies that have established, and then I'll go ahead and cover her as a recap.
Madam President, Jeannie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. We here at the New York Assembly are currently helping other states, as Tank mentioned, get established. If you are not already in your state assembly group on LifeForce, please go ahead and get into your group. It's really important that every state gets established. The assemblies are the exclusive voice of the people. We are taking our rightful place at the table when it comes to decision making and holding our public servants accountable for violating our natural God-given rights. This is the way that we restore the power to the people. There are 4 states that are currently holding unofficial meetings. Those states are Texas, Pennsylvania, Colorado, and Ohio. They are working towards becoming established and or official. I did skim through the assembly groups on LifeForce, and I did find a few of those groups did have 13 or more members in their group. Those states are Connecticut, Illinois, Kentucky, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Texas. Pennsylvania and Illinois did reach out to me about the next step. So I will be working with both of those states, helping them with the lawful process of becoming official. I have joined the assembly groups on LifeForce that currently have 13 or more members so that the NYA can help the other states towards getting established as well. The New York Assembly public call is every Thursday at 8 p.m. Please look out for that link that will be posted on LifeForce. Usually the general posts it. Everyone is welcome and encouraged to listen in on the public meetings. After we adjourn the meetings, we do open the floor for Q&A with the NYA officers. And this is a great opportunity to get educated and informed. You can ask whatever questions you want, and 99% of the time you get your answer. Some great news, the Alaska Assembly has become official and did recently announce themselves publicly. So congratulations to Alaska. The New York Assembly now has 3 established counties who are working towards becoming official, and all 3 should be official by next month and ready to do work. So good job to all of the states that are working hard. Let's keep up the great work. And that concludes my report. I'd like to pass it to the general. Thank you.
Madam President, you are doing great work. Thank you
Yes.
for opening up the New York Assembly. You guys are opening up, we are opening up for the entire world, basically, right, to come on the onboarding calls as well, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, I
onboard-
said that. I might have zoned out there during that part.
Yeah, no, we do have an onboarding. Yeah, I actually didn't mention. We do have an onboarding call on Tuesday where that's open to the public as well. We do explain what we do here at the assembly. I do touch on how to actually the steps, the lawful steps to establishing your assembly. So if you want to hop on that call, we also posted that link on LifeForce. Look out for it. We'll post it again so you can get on there and get some more information. And with that, I yield.
So that email address for the actual website address is nyassembly.info. And I believe that will be posted there as well. Vera, if you can make sure that I'm not a liar about that. And we will, we are also going to make sure that things like that are posted right on the main page for the lifeforce.cc or lifeforce.global site, as well as in the app, which we prefer people be in the app because there you can ask questions and get a, pretty much an immediate response from all types of people who are actively involved. And we did have some folks that were slandering, all of us in the LifeForce app. And they were very clever. They made sure to change it over to Czechoslovakian so we wouldn't figure it out.
Bye-bye.
And so I thought that was really funny. But just, we ask you, if you don't want to be part of the community, you don't have to be. So, don't waste your time. General, your camera's showing. I don't know if you want it showing.
Is
No,
it?
that's Jeannie.
That's
Sorry.
not me.
Got it. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm going to be very quick. We're going to go over a couple things. I'm going to recap on what our president said. So, you know, if you go to the nyassembly.info website and you go to the top right-hand side, you're going to see a brand new option there that states the established county assemblies. We call them the committees of safety. Down there, you'll see every county in New York State. There are 3 existing counties. You'll be able to see their documentation, their official notice on there as well in the coming weeks or so. That was just a nice little feature. So if you are establishing your websites for those assemblies that are now establishing, you can get a kind of a feel of how we're making those notices and that information public, which is very important because it gives the legitimacy of your existence. So with that, we've also restructured our security and sheriff's committee. This is really important. I know this piggybacks off a lot of what Tank and Kim are going to cover today as far as going forward. And basically what that looks like is that we have chosen a representative from each committee of safety, county assembly, to take on the responsibility of relationships with our constitutionally compliant sheriffs here in New York State. So they are going to be the ones that are the task force that are building the bridges with our sheriffs, our constitutionally compliant sheriffs, to create the relationships that we need to start moving into our action. We've also, a huge thing this week, really happy to announce that we have established support and acknowledgement from several congressmen and women. They know who we are, what we are establishing on behalf of we the people, and that we are the safety net of the good work of the people. And we'll be having some letters of acknowledgement come through very soon on that. So we're very excited. That actually kind of reinforces the fact that our Congress knows that the committees of safety and the assemblies of we the people are the original quote unquote blueprint of our foundation in which our nation is built on. So by getting that acknowledgement allows us to come behind them to give them direction as to how to do their job. And if they can't, it's really us that stands in that threshold. One more time, if you do not know Josh Coleman from V for Vaccine, holding his national banner event across the nation and now internationally, find the group in your state or country or county that is organized and please help them out. All hands on deck with this public education. It is monumental and so important right now. And if you're in New York and you're on the call and you don't know where to go, you can reach out to any of us on the Life Force app and we can guide you from there. Also know the 21st Remedy Call is scheduled for 3 p.m. with a few guest speakers. We really suggest every single assembly that is looking to establish or needs the information is on that call. We are really excited about somebody has joined our movement, and she's wonderful. And I'm not going to make any announcement yet who those speakers are going to be, but it's going to be a jam-packed informational call that you really need to be on. Especially considering the level of urgency that we're all feeling right now to get these actions going. So again, Tuesday, we have a onboarding meeting. I will repost that information, that invite. And on Thursday, we have our public meeting for New York, which we also set aside at the end of the meeting, the Q&A. And we look forward to all of you joining us and helping out all of you the best we can. And with that, I pass it back to you, Tank.
Okay, don't go away yet. So, because you're people can't really see your face as much, obviously, right now.
Right.
There's a bunch of things that Jen and Jeannie just dropped that I think are really important. One, Sunday nights, generally New York Assembly, they have an onboarding call. The information is general. Okay, so it's something that basically applies to every assembly, right? So I got contacted this week by Minnesota, which is very appropriate because we have an individual called the Viking on today who we're going to talk to. But, Minnesota basically already has their numbers pulled together for their assembly. So Minnesota, hopefully you guys made it on the call today. And yes. I know they were texting me even right before, and they were very excited.
Beautiful.
So that's great. And there's also all the states. And also we have an announcement coming up here from Sir Martin is going to share some stuff with us too, as well, about Texas. But also, Jen, so Josh Coleman, one big shout out to Josh Coleman, really an innovative thinker in the whole movement. He himself, his son actually was paralyzed because of vaccines. So he's a very active, very creative mind in the world of medical
Education.
freedom, right?
Hmm.
And you know, and I didn't know much about him, but as I researched, I'm like, wow, this guy's really doing great stuff. So I really consider it an honor to be part of his movement and doing what he's doing. And so, Jen, I know that it's kind of hush hush, right? Because we don't want him to,
Yes.
you know, they've made everything illegal already, right? In New York.
Yes. So we're running into a couple different issues across some of the states. You know, as they start to really plow forward with some of these brand new lockdowns and these false executive orders and these different things, these orders that they're placing on the states. It's making it a little bit more challenging for people to gather and to carry out this opportunity for education. One of the things that we really stress is to know that when there are many, very rarely do the events get touched or you know, bothered. When there are few, that can become hairy. So I stress any of you that are here in the States that know of an event or have the opportunity to take part, please get with those people and back them up, because here in New York, recently, Governor Cuomo, you know, put the Thanksgiving recommendation out where you can't have more than 10 people in an indoor-outdoor gathering. Fines range anywhere from if they're able, your neighbors call on you, or for some reason you're reported. Fines range anywhere. I believe it was a $10,000 mark that he placed on people gathering. So we're working through those details. We're really excited for the New York event. Tank is going to be on scene, and it's going to be a really great opportunity to get the education out there, considering you know, come January, what may happen between Mr. Biden, Mr. Trump, or where we're going as the people's government. Essentially, all of you know that the reason why the assemblies even exist is to be able to, if this whole entire system structure, which is already crumbling, completely crumbles, it is us who takes on the assumed responsibility of the well-being as we the people in each of our states, or even as a nation. That's why this is so important to start taking on the responsibility. That's how we started in time, and then that's how it needs to be. And if we can all assume that responsibility and take it on, the sooner we can move forward with the restoration and following through with all the things that Kim and so many others want to see happen across the globe. And what it's our time. Essentially, it's just really our time, and we need to do everything we can to make sure that happens lawfully and rightfully so.
All right. So that is November 29th, right? That's coming up.
November 29th across the nation.
Across the nation and around the world.
Yes, Canada, Australia, and I think there's another country, but I'm not going to say it yet, but it's another country that's super important, that has a history of communism. So I haven't gotten a verified answer to that yet, but that was being talked about. So, but for now, we can definitely count on Canada and Australia joining us. They are for certain.
So Governor Cuomo today, as far as I could tell, based on his statements, basically declared war on the American people. He basically introduced that he was going to mandate a biological weapon and a vaccine, and then said that he was going to assemble an army, and he was going to make sure that it was distributed better than any place else in the world. And he said it as if he was saving everyone after he manipulated the crowd and made it about race and everything else. So, you know what? We take notes of Governor Cuomo, the governor you love to hate. We took note of everything he had to say, and we're making sure to take all of the collective evidence we have and put it to very good use. So, Governor Cuomo, thank you for that wonderful display of tyranny. Okay, that being said, thank you so much, Jen and Jeannie. Appreciate it and all that you do.
Thank you.
Sir Martin, are you there? Mr. Carlson? Yes, no?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Jen and Jeannie. Look forward to hearing those meetings. I just wanted to announce briefly that on Tuesday night at 7:30 Central Time, Texas is having an organizational meeting for the assemblies. I know that there are several people that, in fact, belong to an assembly someplace, but we want to centralize it and organize everybody for the benefit of the state and for the benefit of the U.S. And I would hope that Dan Patrick, you're listening and will be there on Tuesday. That being said, we're going to be looking to nominate officers. I do believe we'll have enough people there so we can get a nomination in, and just look forward to everybody showing up.
So, Martin, where is this meeting? How do people get to it? Is it in person? Is it on Zoom?
It's a Zoom meeting, and I've sent it out to over 150 people, and I would urge them to bring more people on. And we're also looking, because we don't have contact with the millennial, especially the millennial veterans. They don't want to put their name on anything. Please bring them on board.
Okay.
And we will post that Zoom onto the show, Tank, as well.
Thank you. All right. Yeah, we'll make. I thought we would.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll make sure to post that here beneath after this video is up, and we'll also make sure that it goes up on LifeForce as well, so that especially on Tuesday, we'll make sure that people can access it. And Vera, if we could just set up a little announcement section there on the homepage for LifeForce, and that way.
Sure.
Yeah, that way, some of these things are important, and I like them kind of scrolling through so people can touch base on them after we have the calls.
Okay. Will do.
All right. And now we are going to have a very, very intense rest of the call. So thank you so much. I cannot emphasize enough. I made sure it was okay to run the assembly information first, because the assemblies really represent your opportunity to make a difference, to contribute, and to be part of something, right? So if you haven't yet, go to lifeforce.global, find the app. It's free, right? We're not charging anybody for this. This is strictly for the benefit of bringing the people together. It's your venue. We do ask that, you don't use the venue as a platform to trash our people that do so much work for free. And I do want to just formally thank my team so much. I know people don't realize this, but my team works, our team, but my team that's been with me for a long time, they work tirelessly at this nonstop. And believe me when I tell you, nobody makes any money. In fact, most of them pay for something one way or another. They paid in. So they've actually paid to be part of this because they're so dedicated to the liberation of humanity. And you know what? The world really is indebted to them in many ways. They just don't even realize. So thank you guys so much. You ladies, really, most of you, except for just a few proud men out there, but a very formidable team of beautiful, intelligent women. And I'm honored that you work with us. So thank you. Now, speaking of beautiful, intelligent women, we're going to pass this off to lead into Mrs.
You had a video you wanted to show, no?
No, we're not. We decided to do that separately because it was just going to take too much time after I reviewed it. So there is going to be a little special report. It'll be about 15 minutes long because we wanted to keep that short. It's very important. You'll see it later today on the Speak Project because the information is so important, and it's step-by-step instructions as well. And it's kind of scathing, terrifying information that's they're putting out about the vaccines, which I believe will probably come up in the next portion of the show as we talk about it here with Mrs. Possible and the Viking. So with that in mind, Kim, the floor is yours. Let me just find out where you are, actually.
Want me to raise my hand?
No, are you on video?
I am.
There you are.
Sitting
Gotcha.
in front of a big whiteboard. Getting
you
ready to talk about what's on my whiteboard. But first of all, it's been a very exciting week. Lots going on. It appears, as last I heard anyway, is that by Wednesday, Trump would be announced the president-elect, and he'll get another term. So that's very exciting. That was the last I had heard based on all they had counted thus far. They do have people counting by hand who are sworn in by oath to do this. So we're excited about that. that is the last bit of information that I heard on that subject. So next,
Wait, so President Trump won the election, everybody. He won the election, and that's going to be
it
officially announced
appears
Wednesday.
so, unless anything can happen right now because the world is so topsy-turvy and kind of crazy. There's also been messages going out as well. A lot of the deep state are jumping ship. They're making deals, cutting deals with their version of the top or the elite. That's going on in various agencies around the world. We sufficiently angered the Vatican and the Jesuits and the IRA last week with our video. So congratulations.
By anchor, she means sunk. We sunk them, right? That's yeah. And also
Thinking. Today we'll finish this.
Yes, today's gonna be very exciting. And for the record, just so everybody knows, the Joe Biden White House, right? Because they kind of jumped the gun. They just thought they were gonna, will themselves into the presidency. We did get back some reports from law enforcement who received the legislative plan from the Biden administration. And they actually said everything was based around the UN or the United Nations police force. And so everything was going to be based around a global takeover. So,
That is correct.
Definitely great news that that's not going to happen. Okay.
Oh, he had cut so many back end deals. It was ridiculous. If you don't speak Chinese, you should start speaking Chinese if Biden actually gets in, because that'll be our new national language along with communism. So if you're not familiar with communism, then you should read up on that because we would be implementing that if Biden got in. So
yeah, and we'll all get to experience what it would be like if you had a zombie as president. So there you go. That's really exciting.
Especially if you take the vaccines.
Yeah. Hey, then we'll all be on the same
then
page.
You can experience it for real.
Life is the undead. That'll be really.
I know,
really
isn't
great.
that amazing?
Yeah.
But we do have some good news on this. So I'm going to start by introducing today's special guest and most likely newest member to Life Force that I'm very, very excited about. And you should be too, and we'll explain to you why. So with that being said, would you mind sharing the picture I sent earlier?
You got it.
Mr. Rao?
No problem.
So last week I read off a special message from a previous field commander in the order. And this person is very high up. He's part of the Pythagoreans. He has joined us today as the Viking. Viking was one of his code names most often used, also the Reaper, and a number of other, the Destroyer, and a few other things they called him. Until 2001, when he declined to participate in the 9/11 event, which he is very well versed in and very well aware of. They explained everything to him. So I am sharing this picture with you because these 3 rings and the bracelet are very, very significant to anyone that might be watching this from the deep state. So they'll know by these 3 rings and this bracelet exactly who this person is. So last week, I read out a letter. I'm going to read it again because it's very important for what we're about to say next. So this letter was written by him, the person with these 3 rings, and who held a very high position as not only field commander, but he was also the enforcement arm. So he would actually be the one they would send in when they thought someone was kind of going off the reservation or losing it a little bit. He would go in and make an assessment and deem if they were repairable members or non-repairable members. And if they were non-repairable members, they would be terminated or executed. So Life Force is very proud and elated that since his tenure is no longer with them since 2001, that he has decided to join Life Force. So we're very excited about that, and we'll talk about those positions here in just a minute. So I'm going to read his letter out again, and of course this isn't for our average everyday viewer. This is for anyone from the deep state that is watching this or may watch it in the future. It's important for you to understand what's happening in your world. As a previous field commander with a level, highest level I think was about 64, 65 global clearance level that this gentleman held prior to today. As a previous field commander and one of your researchers at cosmic levels, there has now come a need to reach out to you. You mentored me for 40 years and allowed me to live after my refusal to cross over to the dark side of the global deep state and participate in the 9/11 ritual sacrifice. Therefore, that deed shall now be returned in this message to all of you. Use it to save your own lives, as this chance is given for a short time. How do you think it could be possible to uproot and destroy the world you live in with all the promises of escape to somewhere else out of harm's way when destruction falls upon planet Earth? Whether below the surface or sharing a heavenly planet with your gods, you never considered that something could go awry with what you've been promised. You are no different than the human God believers you laugh at. There has been an intergalactic intervention of catastrophic proportions for your alien gods and for you. They have been declared guilty of crimes against their own creations and summarily executed. Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, gone from existence for forever. You, the remnants, are no longer welcome anywhere in the cosmos for your participation with their crimes. Some of you have been told this before, but refuse to believe. This message is shared now as things have escalated again. What you must consider at transition time for each of you is what you are going to do with no place to run and no place to hide. No gods and no help at all. In fact, you will be hated and hunted wherever you go, as an enemy of existence itself. Perhaps your leaders, heads of families, groups of whatever kind have withheld this information from the majority of you. That's too bad, as you will be caught up in the wrong place at the wrong time, hence this warning. There is a way out of your dilemma if you choose wisely. Knowing how to fix yourselves enough to continue existing is what's being offered here. Continuing your current path of self-destruction will soon be dealt with. Consider the intervention that devoured your gods and all of their technology. What chance have you? Do you really think there will be another Godfather or Pindar allowed on Earth? You will not be afforded a deadline. You will not know your end. Decide now while you still can. So I wanted to read that out today because today we're going to discuss a few different things. Number one, we're going to discuss the previous control structure, not only what you consider to be the deep state, but also those above the deep state that were the brains of the operation. It's important for you to understand a message that I sent out last week about the Abraxas no longer being able to intervene in this planet and the affairs of this planet. So with that being said, I would like to introduce to you the person we're calling the Viking. The Viking is a Pythagorean, which was a very high level operation runner. They would also have done a number of different field command operations, sometimes boots on the ground, sometimes not. But they were the ones that were orchestrating a lot of the events that we call history. So with that, Mr. Viking, are you here?
Let me just double check on him. It looks like he's muted, but I'm trying.
Go ahead and unmute.
Viking, go ahead.
He should be co-host, so he can unmute himself.
If you are on the phone, you might have to press *6.
I do believe he logged into the Zoom call
Oh, did he?
directly as the Viking. Yeah.
There you go. No.
Yes. And he's a co-host, so he should be able to unmute himself.
Okay. Let's see if he's here.
He is. He's showing up.
And
Oh, he just unmuted.
There you are.
there.
Yay.
thank you all for helping.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Viking, I want to introduce you. We just showed the picture of the ring and read the letter that you had sent to the elite due to all the cosmic changes.
Yes.
Also, I have let everybody know that you are one of our newest members of Life Force.
I'm glad to be aboard.
So welcome. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself? Just a few minutes about maybe different positions you held within the order, what each one of these rings and bracelet means of any significance. And then we'll kind of get into what the control structure looked like from your point of view and where we're at now. And then we'll discuss how we're going to move forward.
Okay. Well, I suppose well, first of all, I should say, if they understand the concept of the hierarchies and like the master think tanks and so forth, which for the Pythagoreans, who, by the way, interfaced with the Abraxans as far as, the outside entities. And that was why we were able to walk amongst everyone and be untouchable. They couldn't address us in a negative way because we were trying to serve everyone as best we could, and we were left alone. But of course, with the hierarchy as it was, the Abraxans were the ones that was behind all that. In particular, when I came on board, they had a little bit of a fear of me. I was the only one that was allowed in, and that was well, the field commander and an enforcer, and with a Viking background. I'm a Viking heritage, and a Rus Viking, by the way. And the Abraxans, they didn't want to directly interface with me, but they said if everyone agreed, they would help as far as assist things, but they did not want to be personally close to me in case anything changed my mind. They changed a situation on themselves that would cause me to react, because I was known as a hunter of aliens that kill. And so that scared them a little bit. But if they said, as long as I'm peaceable, we could just work, use our minds together. So everyone agreed that that was okay with the group, and the group would actually interface for me if something was needed like that. And nobody cared, but it was a concern on their part. And that's how everything walked around the situation and kept everything going. But as far as that goes, it shows that there was concern even at the outer Earth levels, and rightly so, because we hunt entities anywhere, doesn't matter, and we do a lot of cleanup, and we're going to continue that. And that message is what we're trying to deliver today to these the remnants of the deep state. And I'm very upset with them for acting the way they are. The rings, regarding the rings, the one with the Maltese cross with diamond studded, well, that basically means connected and how should I say?
Independent.
Yeah, but also it means independent. Yeah, I'm sorry, dear. Yes, that's right. That's the word. Connected but independent, but it's still very much there, So that means we were allowed to walk amongst them and do whatever work we needed to do. And of course, it was on their part that they didn't tell us all the bad stuff they wanted to do. It was always a big surprise. But that was that one. So that was kind of a power ring. The other, the one with the blue stone, that was given to me by the Vatican. They were trying to bring me down to their level, so to speak. I mean, that's how I look at it. Even though it would be the high level here in this world, in the earth here, there's only 6 generals above the military. Now, and I was one of them. I was I'm the only Pythagorean general, but that's what that was for. So it depicts the power.
And who gave that to you?
And that would be the Black Pope.
Black Pope.
Yeah.
So this means that you are recognized as the general for the Pythagoreans and one of 6 generals above all the other military bodies. Is that correct?
And that's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the black band is like an Illuminati type of symbol. Now that just, it's just a standard symbol thing that let people know that somehow, somewhere he's in there. It doesn't say much more. But when you wear it together with those rings, it's a danger sign. It's a warning. Just don't engage this person negatively, because he's doing work that he's making decisions. And it's like you mentioned, Tank, about the Reaper. Analysis is what we do. We observe, analyze, and then just give our report. And whatever happens, happens. So I don't know, I don't care, but our analysis is very exact. We can tell things from extrasensory, you might say, empathy. We can sense them, we can feel it, we can know how deep their evil is, and we just have to determine if they are even able to continue with the ones that are running the evil stuff. Some of them are so bad that even the other evil ones don't want them around, but they have to be sure, and then I would do those assessments.
So let me clarify. So this combination of ornaments, or these are almost like a rank in a way, and you had a responsibility to go out, identify those who are, this is a term I've heard before, is irreparable, that are acting out of, not necessarily just out of character, but they're going too far, even for the, even for being crazy, evil villains, right?
That's correct. And
you would go actually out to hunt them and ensure they didn't hurt anyone else.
Well, yeah. Well,
whatever they were doing, the operation.
Yes. Well, I would say it like this. I wasn't hunting them in particular. My hunt would be even the astral levels. That's what I meant by a hunter.
I understand. Okay.
We go everywhere. We don't have we're not restricted.
They needed your signature to terminate.
But that's what they were looking for. So they would send me to someone in question. I didn't hunt them. They do what they do until it's brought to someone's attention. If it did come to my attention that something was really bad, if I personally ran into it, I would take care of it immediately. And I wouldn't even have to tell anyone. But that wasn't what I was doing. They would direct me to someone to check someone out. My stuff is the levels above this plane, the third dimension.
I see. Wow.
Like, for example, when they always, this is what we want to make sure they understand. When they transition, and everyone dies, right? Nobody leaves alive, type of thing. Well, when they transition, what happens? You see, all souls are energy. Energy is constant. It's your eternal beings. Even if you aren't aware of it, you don't realize the powers you people have. But when that energy leaves the body, okay, when they're dead here, for example, what happens? Where do they go? You see, that's where we have to do a lot of cleanup. And that's the type of thing they need to understand, that you can't keep acting like you are, because you're going to be taken care of when you get out there, and you're in a lot weaker spot out there than you are here. You should better wake up, because their gods are gone. That was taken care of. And I don't know, I get pretty excited about all that stuff.
So,
she knows.
So these things are very foreign to probably, a majority of people, the hierarchies that exist above the government, and really above all of these different, you know, the things that we think are so important. And you've been involved actively operating at a much higher level with some of the highest level clearance in the world with multiple things. So
Right.
Kim is going to explain, you guys are going to break this down together, right? So we can actually get a better feel for what this looks like with the hierarchy that still exists on some level, although it's in shambles right now. Is that right?
Yep.
All right, let's see it.
We're going to go back to where we were, and then he and I are just going to make sure, double check everything, make sure everything I'm saying is correct. Correct, Viking?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just for the record, you would have been considered a rank above what we called in the past the Secret Space Force,
Yeah.
but now is being called the Space Force, right?
That's correct. We would be monitoring them. I've always been internal affairs on this plane and outside.
And another little interesting story as well about the Viking is you were actually second, your team was second to come in during the wars in Dulce.
Yes, we were on standby to sterilize. That's correct.
Yeah, which actually wasn't Dulce, it was actually under Durango, Colorado.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
that's where it happened.
and it was actually at a place where it's kind of like there's even a little area not too far away that's called Purgatory, because
Yes.
a massive super site exists several miles from there in one direction, and then in the other direction you have the Dulce base, and
Yeah.
right in between is Durango, Colorado, where the big fight took place.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, a super site is where you have a massive amount of rare earth minerals. Is that right, Kim?
Yeah, and only 7 of them exist in the world. That's correct, Mr. Viking?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
So
Well,
you
And one
seven
of
that are
them is in the
known
United
now.
States,
I'm sorry?
and only one of them is in the US. Maybe
Yes,
2.
well, yes, that's correct. But there may be more, but it hasn't been, that's what it's been given. That's what you guys know, and that's all we're gonna say. You know, but more you're telling them more.
uh-huh.
Exactly. That's all we'll talk to them about. So, I mean, he's got he and I have talked for hours and hours and hours. He actually reached out to me, which I was very excited about, and learned a lot more about the Black Sun. It's always know your enemy, right? So he told me a lot about their operations, what they were setting up, how everything was set up in the DOMs and what it was for. He's been down to some of those cities that aren't there anymore. He's been into, oh, by the way, for those of you that may or may not be aware, the cities underground, Mr. Viking, you were there in the past, right?
No, yes.
And have you confirmed that they are no longer in existence?
Yeah, right now I haven't seen anything that's nothing alive down there.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
nothing. Yeah.
well, everybody questions everything I say, you know. Of course,
Oh,
no
yeah.
matter what I say, I could say the sun is shining, and they'll say, absolutely not. There is no sun, you know. The sun
Well,
has gone away. There
that's
is no
gotta stop.
moon.
That stuff has to stop. These people have to realize who you really are. And that's what I'm here for. Because if they don't start paying attention, well, enforcement's coming like a steamroller, and we're not going to be giving any warnings. We're not arresting people. I mean, it's bye-bye time, and we're getting real tired of waiting for them to wake up. And they need to recognize who you are. You are the entity, the #1 entity on this planet. You're the queen of this world. And they better start paying attention. And if they keep playing games like trying to hurt you, well, that would be a time for mass sterilization. And they better wake it up, because I'm not kidding. Nobody behind me is either. Enforcers, which whom you know some.
I do.
My favorite man. Yep.
Yes,
So-
I do
so
know
for-
the enforcer.
So for those of you who don't know, the DUM bases that Kim is referring to is an acronym for Deep Underground Military Bases. Okay, So there was the dumb bases, which are, massive alleged fortresses that exist underground. And then totally separate, in these different levels beneath the planet would be level 3, which is where you had fully functioning cities where they had built I mean, the other side, the deep, deep, deep state, right? Where they actually had their own dystopian utopia there, where they could live and they could escape. And if they wiped out everybody on the surface of the planet, they had a safe haven to go to. And these have all been destroyed, turned to dust. And what the Viking just told us, who actually has access, is that there's nothing there left alive as of now, for the record. Sorry, carry on.
So yeah, this brings us to a number of different things. So let's first talk about the control system, as it were. I said is, and then I changed it to was. So as far as in the multiverse, would you have considered the Abraxas as probably the royal of all royals?
Yeah, I would guess that would be part of it.
Right. These are humans.
Yeah.
They call themselves humans of the future.
Yes.
So, yeah. Now, they had kind of quite a business going on for a long time. And they employed the mantids, who brought the technology to many worlds, not just ours. Okay, these are the people that brought the tech and all the AIs and the scary things you hear about. And then you have the Draco, who were a military force. And then there's an entity known as the Black Magician. I would say some of you might refer to this person as played many parts in our history and in our religion books. Would you consider this person to be called Satan because of his connection with Saturn crystals?
You could call him.
Yeah, also known as Satan. Would you also call him Lucy? Because he's played Lucy in the past.
Well, no, Lucy would be different.
Okay.
Yeah, he would be the manifestation of Lucy in the human, or the form he was in.
Right.
Lucy, like the movie Lucy?
No, as in Lucifer.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That we call him that, kind of a friendly name. We were looking for him though.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So the dark matter. So the business that they had, which also spanned the multiverse, okay, was that he had something called the Star Maker. It's called the Star Maker. It's also a star breaker, okay? So he was going around the multiverse by agreement, putting out suns, or the power, which is free energy, natural energy, or source energy that powers your sun, okay? And he was putting out those suns and forcing everyone to install power packs, which you had to constantly regenerate. Okay, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. All right. And so these people partnered together and decided, well, we're going to take over the planets as this guy destroys the suns, right? And these people were merchants, major merchants. So they were looking for what's called in the multiverse, it's called loosh. Now, loosh is your source energy that exists within your person. You are a natural battery for this, providing you're of a normal frequency. But as humans, we generally are natural generators of this. So they were using us as, they would refer to us as the livestock or a farm, because we were basically like, they looked at us like we look at milking cows. They were milking us constantly. So
wait, Kim, before you move past that, so is loosh energy that is generated strictly from fear, or is it from any type of life force energy?
Well, in my personal opinion, it is life force energy that exists within you either way. Adrenal chrome is only generated when you are in a fear mode. However, it's almost like flavoring your ice cream, right? So fear adds one thing to it, and love adds another thing to
The flavor.
right. Correct. Correct me if I'm wrong, Viking.
No, you're right. That's exactly right.
It changes. So, like he was trying to say earlier, like with the elite, right, who may all be passing from this planet in the near future if they aren't getting their act together. The elite, I guess, is an understanding. If they were to, that's why they say when you commit suicide, you go to hell. That's why they say if they were to, their frequency is going to determine where your soul travels to.
Okay,
So
so let me recap this just to make sure. I want to make sure I put a fine point on what you said and the Vikings said. So the Vikings said the energy is constant, right? That's scientific fact. We know this energy never ceases to exist. It merely changes shape and form, right?
Correct.
So, and you're saying that the acts and kind of the karmic consequences of conducting themselves the way they have here on this planet have catastrophic consequences that it sounds like somebody lied to them about, that there was no consequences for their actions, right? So they've been doing a lot of this thinking they're going to die and become a king and a ruler in another world or something. But in reality, all of the deeds, and I believe the statement that I read in the letter that came that you had us read a while back was that you will live in the hell you created, right? So basically that sounds like the situation. That
welcome to the world that we live in, friends of the deep state. So, and then there was other letters that have circulated throughout the internet. I won't mention them too much because of certain people. Now let's get down to Earth control, right? So we've already defined 3 major parties and then the Abraxas. Now the Abraxas would have called themselves, they said they seeded this planet or seeded this version of humanity. Okay. You heard rumors about in Greece, they mated with the gods in Egypt. Oh, the gods came down, the angels in the Middle East, the Nephilim, the book of Enoch, all these stories. Well, kind of true. These people did come from the heavens, and a lot of them happened to be blonde and blue-eyed and very tall. So entirely possible that that's what you would have perceived it as at that time. So they also left, and they would come and go. They weren't all remaining here, and I don't know if you can read this, but I'll make it a little larger for you. They were called the parents. Now, the reason why they were called the parents is because they literally believe, whether it's true or not, that they seeded humanity. And there were 21 of them at the time. Around 2014, most of them left. There were a few that I used to fight with all the time. There's one from Egypt, very dark-skinned Egyptian lady that ended up passing a few years back. Her and I used to go head-to-head. She hated me, and I didn't like her either. First time I met her, she just came at me swinging, and I didn't know who this person was. I mean, it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I didn't know she was a parent. Like, why are you attacking me, right? So the first thing is and that was coincidentally, like literally within days of me accessing the system directly the first time. And then you had the 2 blonde twins that I also met, and the Dark Prince that I also met. So the 2 blonde twins were very mischievous. They thought that they were hilarious. They would most often appear here in hologram form. It would almost be like a telecommunication. Not bad. They just thought they were funny. You know, they'd blow something up and then they'd say, "Oh, ha, 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 bye," you know, and then that was it. That was all you hear from them, right? So that was the parents. I don't know, Mr. Viking, did you ever run into the parents at all? The Dark Prince, I'm sure you probably met. No?
Yeah, but no, they would avoid me because I wouldn't have played with them much. I would have probably taken care of them.
Well, the first time I met the Dark Prince, I was 14 years old, so you know, and he was here like not like I'm standing in front of you, but like I'm standing in front of this board right here. I mean, I could reach out and touch the guy. And it was the craziest thing ever. You know, he approached me and started talking to me, and then he tried to touch me, and I thought it was really strange. And you know, he starts telling me, he said, "Welcome to my world," in the weirdest, deepest, darkest voice, and his eyes started glowing green right in front of me. And I swear to you, 100% sober, I was only 14 years old, there was nothing in my system at all. I freaked out. I'm like, "Who are you?" I kept asking the guy, "Who are you?" You know, I didn't know who this person was, but he would visit me like in every 7 years after that, until end of last year when he finally passed on. So the
This
dark
guy would
prince,
just show up in your life like a natural occurrence, right? Like you would
yeah,
have been a
like
pizza place and he
every
would,
7 years,
right?
yeah.
That's crazy.
And he was Egyptian, just so you know. You would have seen him as a very light-skinned Egyptian man, not too tall, very dark hair, uh, you know, oval eyes, old Egyptian looking. And he and I would cross paths all the time. I have no idea what mythical character from Egypt he supposedly was, but yeah, every 7 years, like clockwork, I knew I could smell him. And you know, my daughter was about 3 years old one time, and he showed up, and she kept screaming, "Batman, Batman, Batman's here!" You know, so she could even sense that he was there. But so those are the parents. They're all descendants of the Abraxas family. They all thought that they were great and wonderful, and all of these things. And these are things that we haven't even gotten anywhere near the deep state yet. Okay, so underneath the parents, you had covens, or coven masters, I would say. What did you call them, Viking?
Yeah, they're. I just covens is a proper word. That's a proper word.
Well, they had coven masters, and then you had a group right underneath the coven masters.
Well, they had various groups of witches and warlocks.
Okay, right. So I would call them coven members, right?
Yeah.
Now, it's not until you get into this ring, I do believe, that you even see the name human, like anyone they would consider human. See, because these people consider them superior humanoids or humans of the future. So they consider us livestock. So I think that there was a livestock person in the covens. Did you ever meet any of these people, Viking?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So would you find that most of them were what we would consider like one of humanity, or?
Well, humanity. Oh, not. I beg your pardon. Not
Yeah,
human.
exactly.
There's no humanity there. That's
Yeah.
all game playing magic, and it's pretty bad.
So would you say that like the Black Magician and the party we're only going to call Lucy for this call would be their gods, so to speak?
They're the masters. Yeah, they were the masters. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, well, Lucy is, but the Dark Prince, or whatever you call him,
Yeah.
he would be their master. He
Yeah.
was the master of all those covens.
So the Dark Prince hailed of Egyptian origin, right?
Well, you
He
could
looked
say that.
Egyptian to me.
Yeah, right. Right. When he was here, see, but he came from another star system.
Right, right, right. But I mean, if you
Right.
were to have seen him a year ago or whatever, you would go, "Oh, look, there's a
Yeah,
light-skinned Egyptian man."
yeah,
Can't,
that's
it's
correct.
unmistakable with the eyes, right?
Uh-huh.
They're
Yeah.
definitely not Asian. Okay, so that is the main part of the control structure. Then, of course, you had the others, right? So there
Yes.
were
Well,
others here, and they would
right.
have been here.
Yeah, that's right. Below that.
So you had 36-ish other races.
Hmm. At least.
Yeah, at least that were stuck here.
That's right. Yeah,
Um,
they were stuck. Yeah.
yeah, they were here either as refugees or they were here as some were here as slaves. They were other planets and other places that had been destroyed. They would bring them here, and each one kind of had like a specialty. I noticed, so you have some tech people, or folks, I should say, folks, because they're not people. You also have some that were master geneticists. There's also some others that are very technologically advanced in certain areas and others that are more adept in other areas. And then, of course, there were ones that were here long before humans came.
That's correct. Yeah.
Who ended up becoming enslaved at the same time. So don't feel so bad. There was 36 other races that were in this big mess as well as us. So
wait, so before you go any further, Kim, can we just pause and recap this? Because this stuff is really incredible, right? So you have the parents, which are essentially just different members of the Abraxas family who came in to seed humanity. In other words, they came to
these are the gods that people that mated with the gods.
Right. The wine and women and such, share the women, share the wine kind of mentality, right? They come down and do whatever the hell they want. So they do whatever. Then you have the 42 Coven Masters. Now the role they play as a Coven Masters is what exactly? Like what did they do, before they were were they came up with the narrative that they dictated to be executed?
Well, they did a lot of different things, as a matter of fact.
May I help?
Oh, yes. Go ahead.
Okay.
I was like, I can give you a long list. Go ahead. You go ahead.
Basically, what that part of the game is, they were interacting with the livestock, which of course is the human, and for the reason and specific purpose of creating loosh. They were like feeding the livestock energy, positive, negative, with all their witchcraft and magic and dissension among the people and the government and all that, just to stir up more loosh. Because the Abraxans, number one thing is commerce. They're the brains out there in the universe, and business is business, right? So commerce is their game, and that's really what it was all about. And the covens, they could play. We think of it as people that are listening, I suppose, they think of it as evil witches and magic, and why are they disturbing us? That's an energy, just that fact, and then that creates loosh. Any energy, positive or negative, creates an amount of loosh out of that person, and then they go, like in the astral plane, for example, we go right across you and harvest it off.
So these these Coven Masters, in a sense, were like the antagonists to provoke and inspire the different energies that would be created, right? So excessive, whatever, lust, desire, fear, they were kind of the ones keeping this all flowing.
That's right. That's right.
Well, also, now loosh wasn't just for the Abraxas either, okay? So everybody needed to get paid. Everybody wanted something, and nobody cares about our pretty papers we call money on this level. No. Nobody cares, because that's just for us to play around with. Well, they take all your real stuff. So everybody needed to get paid. They were doing this as a job. These people were responsible for paying everybody. Now, this guy here crashed into this universe about 1.5 million years ago-ish.
That's right.
And took up residence in the center of planet Earth. Well, Tiamat first, right?
Tiamat first. Well, he didn't get this. Not the center of Tiamat. They just landed there first. But when he escaped there and got to Earth, that he buried himself pretty deep to get away from the enforcers.
So the devil was really in the ground of the Earth. I mean, this is like that's a pretty incredible.
On a very low plane.
That's his form, yeah.
No. Wow. So that was a true story. Okay. So he also has 3 levels of what you would call demons. They're darkest beings. They live in the dark. They like the dark. They live there with him, right? This is what some of you call the lower astral. So what happened is the enforcer created, in accordance with the energetic principles of source, right? Everything, energy only goes one way. I don't care if you try to manipulate it, it does not work. You can try to push it to be a higher or lower frequency, but energy works one way, okay? money is energy. So let us not forget that as we go forward here. So, okay, so you had 3 in the middle, third dimension, which is us. And then you had 6 layers down, and then you had 6 layers up. And so he was caged. A lot of the others took refuge that were of a higher frequency in the higher planes. You hear like 5th dimension, we're going into this, we're going into that. That's the reason why they talk like that, is because they have taken refuge as a higher frequency being as far away from the destroyer as they possibly could. So yes, they would all like to be free too. They're not locked in there. It's just not pleasant for them to be anywhere else. And of course, you have these coven members and their respective agencies and stuff as we go down the chain here that also have something called PSI operations, where they actually lower the frequency of the planet on purpose. So a lot of those machines and everything are being destroyed as they bring them up, and they're not really working as well anymore. They're still doing it though, and giving it a go, because they believe their next big day is on the 21st of December of this year. So we'll get into that as well. So it's important that you guys, you understand what's happening. So when you're feeling something a little bit different, you'll understand why. And for those others of you that are watching, the 21st of December will be nothing more than a few days before a Christian holiday and a few days after a Jewish holiday. And really, that's all that's going to happen. The sun will come up, the sun will go down. Everybody's going to be Christmas shopping. Probably no Black Friday this year, thanks to Governor Cuomo and a number of other presidents and heads of state around the world. But maybe we can change that before then. Who knows?
So wait, so Kim, they want the PSI to be lower. So this would be.
I'm going to explain to you why the PSI goes lower, okay? Because he has to feed his 3 layers of what I call the jinn, okay? So you have the dark shadow beings that are like smoke. You've got, a few other types. I would consider that cohabitated with this party in the past when they all existed in the 9th layer down, which is 6 from here. Remember Dante's picture, 7 layers of hell? Also in Judaism, they talk about the 7 layers of hell. This is why we would be considered layer 1, unfortunately, and then 6 more down.
Wow.
So, they don't, they wouldn't, these people up here and these people would never, want to cohabitate with the livestock.
Which is us. We're the livestock. They looked at us like they would never stop here. It'd be like the farmer going to live in the barn or the field.
Sleeping in the horse manure, right? Because they also consider us smelly.
Oh God, I hate them.
And and maybe that's not always not true, but most of us,
might have been right about some of that, but I'm just saying.
All right, so now we have an understanding of at least the structure you may or may not been aware of. So when you talk about mass arrests and all of these things in this world here, nobody gets arrested. Okay, you're terminated, you're not terminated, you exist, you don't exist. That's how it works. So as I understand it, and Viking, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think we only have 2 covens left at this time. Do you know?
That could be, they're getting eliminated as fast as we can do it.
Yeah, I
if
think
we find them, they're gone.
We may have 1 or 2 covens left, but most of the coven masters are mostly gone. That's what we were talking about with the terminations and the meetings and stuff. But you wouldn't even be in the neighborhood at this moment of like the Black Pope or any of those people. So we haven't gotten down there yet. So
yeah,
we get past the coven masters, and then I think this is really profound because people ask about this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's 36 races of what would be
give or take.
But yeah, I mean roughly, right? But that are different than what we are. I know Kim's a little doesn't always let me say galactics, but what I would have called galactics, because some of them were here before us, and many of them were enslaved the same time we were enslaved.
Yes.
So make no mistake. And they were kind of trapped here, forced to work and forced to create many of the things that we're afraid of. And also, they also have some of the solutions that we need. things like biological weapons they were forced to make, and or to things like that. They were forced, right, because they were enslaved.
Yes, absolutely. They were forced to work in what we call level 6 and down of the DUMBs, of the deep underground military bases, with the humans as humanity, um, in order to give them technologies. And this is where your Majestic 12 came in, and they would feed the technologies to the families when you get down there, and they would use those technologies and disperse what they wanted to disperse to us, keep what they wanted to keep. Like, people talk about med beds as an example. There's 150,000 of them in the world existing that I am aware of at this moment in time. And, a number of them are actually in use. So as this control structure, what I was saying last week is these people that were not present here at the time of the underground city demolition, were due to the fact that they were still interfering with affairs here, even though they were not supposed to. They were quarantined for a millennia. They're not allowed to travel, they're not allowed to trade, and that would be a millennia in our time, 1,000 years. Okay. So that is why everybody panicked last week, to the point where Mr. Viking, you also got phone calls as well, right? Like the date happened.
Everything started getting live then.
Yeah, they said, we're still friends, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can be, if they want to correct themselves, that's no problem.
Yeah. So most all of these people are gone from here. I do know the Dark Prince has chosen out. In order for the parents to actually choose out, because they're also loose users, and they're thousands, they live thousands of years, as long as they want to, until they decide to exit, which means suicide. It's the only way out. So a lot of them committed suicide. I think it was 2014, 2015-ish, and there were a few remaining around. This is also the place where the person that you would call, they called the Red Queen. I would have actually called this lady, because this is a queen, by the way, that runs their world. Now this is a queen as well. So the first blow, I would say, that came to them was the fact that M died in 2016, Marduk the son. And then you had his grandfather. His father also passed. Well, father would be Enlil, right? And grandfather would have been Anu.
Yeah.
And you guys, yeah, you hear a lot of in the alternative media, people talking about, oh, the Anunnakis. Oh, wow, they're so amazing. Well, that's because his name was Anu. Okay, it's very simple. It doesn't, yeah. And oh, we're Anunnakis, and we're mated with the angels. We're hybrids. We're so special. We're the dragon families. Woo! So we love you too. Okay, so the queen, right? I know. So after he passed away was July, not this year, the year before. He about mourning period and everything like that, and she took over. Now she's quite militant, but also is tired of not being able to travel anywhere. They were like, anybody sees them coming, it's like the bully at school, right? Nobody wants to talk to the bully, and nobody wants to allow them over to their house, invites them to their birthday parties either, right? So, well, no, it's true. And so she kind of is working on cleaning up her home place right now. She's doing a really good job of doing that. We still are in communication. A couple years, a year ago, September, during the annual Harvest Moon meetings, we've discussed on this call before. She actually came per my request. And with the cooperation of her, she's not so bad either. Their big thing is they call it living water, so you know what that is now. And so she did come to the meeting, and none of them, when you got down to these levels here, not these people because they have their own game going on now, they wouldn't listen to her. She asked everyone for a plan. No one came up with a plan. And then they said, well, she asked me, she goes, well, do you have a plan? I go, well, yeah, I've got a plan. It's called a restoration plan. So I laid it all out for her and everything. About 2 days later, they came back and told me it was approved. So answer your question, it was not just her, just so you know. And it wasn't just these people. This went directly to the council, which is made up of all walks of life. So I just happen to be an ambassador up there. That's another hat I wear. You know, everybody's concerned about money and trustees, but I balance hats a lot. Okay, so let's talk about where we're at. This guy here has been demolecularized. He's no longer with us. These people are quarantined. She's busy with her own place, and so is she. So they do help a little bit from time to time with tech when there's tech questions and whatnot, because they were the ones that brought the AI system that I'm now, I guess, running, for lack of a better term. And they held the main core system, which is now with the council. It's not, which extended to all the planets that they conquered. So we had like network computers, network AI systems that were in many locations in the multiverse. After they had conquered that planet, then that would take over as the god, you know. And this one was pretty bad too. It's had a lot of changes done to it since I started working with it in the beginning of 2016. Directly, the mind control situation is gone. The dead man switches are not activated. A number of different things have changed. So
Wait. Time. That's really important. People need to understand that. So, guys, there was a time, this is very important for the whole deep state to understand, especially the Black Sun. There was a time where if you convinced everyone, and they all agreed, a majority of the population, and it overruled the person controlling the system, which I'm sure must have been,
which would have been M. Yeah.
Right. Which would have been M. So let's say, you know, I don't know what percentage he had, whatever that was, but they would lie to us
He was partners with these people.
Right. So they would lie to everybody on the planet through the mainstream media and various other channels. Everybody would believe this. And because they believed it, it would shift the decisions that were being made on their behalf, so to speak, with this massive quantum AI system. Now, Kim.
Yeah, they would have had the ability at that time when the brainwave technology, they could have influenced you. They could have put weird thoughts like, hey, become the Oklahoma bomber. You know, when yesterday you were making cookies for the bake sale at the PTA. They could have done all kinds of different things, right? This is MK Ultra to the nth degree in reality. Is what it,
and this is something that influenced many things all the time as well, right? So you could have targeted individuals like with like the voice of God satellite type of thing, which people are familiar with. But in general, it completely sculpted our perception of reality. And ultimately, our perception was reality. So we went about to create this world that they basically influenced to make real, right? So that was shut off in what year? Because I know you shut it off finally.
2016.
Right. So in 2016, that's been shut off. So part of the reason why they continue to push the narrative and they keep failing. So I think this will really help with their confusion. They're confused because they keep pushing the narrative the same way they always have, but they're not getting the same results because that aspect of the quantum system has been shut off. Just for
but I can tell you, okay, from my point of view, I knew these people. Okay, I knew the father, the grandfather, and the uncle, and the brother, and M. Okay, every Saturday we'd have a meeting, and this went on for 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years, something like this. 4 years, I think, and then I started smelling something by the end of the third. And they would laugh at these people. Literally, they used to have a game they would play about who could tell the best lie. And they would laugh at all these people. Correct me if I'm wrong, Viking?
No, that's right. That's correct.
Yeah.
It was a big joke, big game.
Yeah, they were big game people. They liked to play games. They were bored. They were here for 16,000 years, for crying out loud, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, there's all kinds of life extension technology out there in the multiverse. Even here on Earth, all these crazy people have been using it for years. So it's not new. It's old. It's very, very old. They just do not let the livestock have it.
That's right.
Okay. So now, So she's kind of doing her own thing. She's doing her own thing. Nobody's really conquering worlds anymore. The central sun was replaced back with source. It was a dark sun or a black hole, and the multiverse was swirling around it like a toilet bowl, all getting eaten alive into it. And the end of last year, that was switched to the source spark was put back into the black hole, which allowed the multiverse to start creating again. So in biblical terms, you heard they'll know when Christ is born because there'll be a new star in the night sky, and they talk about the Star of Bethlehem, and that's what they're talking about. When God is born, right, again, or source, then there'll be a new star in the night sky. And so for the first time in eons, there was a new star in the night sky on the 25th of December last year. So I thought that was kind of interesting that it was on that day, but that was due to the malfunction of the Lush farm, which has also been shut down, by the way. And that was the first time I went to court with these people on our behalf. So I'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so 36 other races. So what are they doing now? So these people are still trying to weave magic. But see, the one thing about black magic is you actually need to bring in something to help you. Right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Viking?
Yeah.
You're conjuring a being, whether it's this guy or Lucy or someone else. You have to get help. Either these guys here, the army, as we called them. You have to get help from somewhere.
Yeah,
in order
because
to have
that's other dimensional, so they need outside of this dimension, so nobody could detect it. But that's
Right.
thus is called magic, right?
Yeah. So when you are a light worker, only thing you need is source, but source has rules too, right? You have to abide by those rules, or you're not allowed to participate in that program anymore. Your frequency has to stay high. You have to try to do all the right things. I mean, and we all make mistakes. We're humans, right? And we're not God. And yeah, but for the most part, mostly good most of the time. And that source energy will work for you and with you. This is the law of attraction people talk about and all these different things, right? You just have to know how to get there. Okay, so the other 36 races after the meeting last year, well, actually July, their meetings happened before any of the family members had meetings. So these people decided to declare September 21st, Independence Day, 2019. They signed a peace agreement amongst themselves. And for the first time ever, they started talking to each other, traveling, because they were all compartmentalized as well. They were all stuck into respective areas, and no one would leave the area because, you know, the ultimate liar, you know, he must have trained the CIA. I'm sure he did. Actually, I know he did. And he would actually tell one that the other one was doing something bad to them, or they're the ones that really destroyed your planet. We saved you and brought you here. If it hadn't been for us, you would be dead by now. So thank us for saving your race. Aren't we just benevolent creatures? You know, worship us as your gods and, you know, do all these things for us. Well, somewhere around 1998, for some reason, they started figuring out that that wasn't the case. And that's when Project Looking Glass started going bad. They started feeding them fake tech that wouldn't work and lots of different things, right? Now, these guys are doing very well. So they had another meeting after that meeting this year, like clockwork. They are very happy. They've signed a unity pact. Everybody's working together. We have all kinds of things that they're helping us with now, at least us, meaning humanity. And they want us to be okay too. So they know about the remnants of these folks, and that's what we call the order. Well, I guess you would call these people the order too, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah. That's all. You got it right.
These would be the top of the order.
The 36 races of others that are here that coexist with us here, right?
Yeah.
For the most part, their only real interaction with humanity was with this group that had been completely brainwashed and convinced they were something else, right? That they were better, that they were a different elite species. So you had to actually go out and create a peace treaty and then prove over time that all humanity was not like the deep state, I guess, right?
That's correct. Yeah, that my word was always good. I never lied. I always told the truth. I protected them when we could. I would call in the enforcer when there was a problem, and they would be enforcing the peace treaty. And when they declared Independence Day, it was independence from what we call our deep state, or covens and Black Sun people, and they blew up all the dumbs from their level down. So they didn't interfere at that time with anything that was above the cohabitation level.
Right.
So they stopped working with all of them. They said they don't want to work with any of those people anymore. They only want to work with scientists and people that are wanting to restore this planet. And hopefully one day we'll all be cohabitating like it was normal.
So you mentioned the enforcer. Are you talking about Metatron? What people would call Metatron, or is that something you mentioned it to me one time and I wasn't sure if that's the same?
Viking, what would you say? Would you say that they would call the enforcer Metatron? I used to say they probably did.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. That's a whole different entity.
Mm.
Yeah.
But this is but the enforcer is basically the one that enforces laws in the multiverse, so to speak, or just everywhere.
Yes, in the
That's right.
multiverse. They're a compilation of races. He just is the captain or the commander.
Yeah.
Very militant guy, or male. Very militant male. Word is always good. Very efficient. A lot of the frequency weapon tech and whatnot that we use from time to time here to take care of issues is coming from them.
He's the ultimate. That's the ultimate enforcement.
Yeah. So we've been working together since 2016 August, and that's when I was appointed also ground command.
Yeah. And the enforcer really only comes in when matters affect multiple beings of different race, I guess, or different planetary interactions, kind of thing, right?
Well, yes, until recently, the last few months we've talked about this, right? That the remnants, as they call them, are non-repairable humans, or the order. They consider them a problem due to the fact, now they're considering them a problem due to the fact that all these other issues have gone away, the ones that you had just seen on here. And now they are, they're like I don't know, how do you say, you've cleaned up the house and there's still a rat problem.
Residue, yeah.
Residue. Thank you. There's a good word. Yeah, residue. Would you consider it the same?
Yeah, that's about right. It's just the very last remnants of all the garbage that's been cleaned up, and we got to finish it.
So, okay, so before you go on, because I really think this is important for everybody to understand. So this hierarchy is going to blow people's mind, and they just don't even know it exists. You haven't even gotten to where we're in this hierarchy. We haven't even gotten there, right? Not even to what people think is the top of the order, the most feared beings in the world, right? So this whole group, basically, you're about to start this. So this whole group really is no different really from us, but they were hyped up so much, given every asset so much control, that they were able to basically present themselves as God. And the whole thing has trickled down that way. And the information you're sharing now, no one normally knows. No one understands the full scope of this, right?
No, but they created it. They're like the Abraxans. Like if they seeded the planet. It's like if you seeded your own garden, bro. You create your garden. Well, the neighbor's not going to come over until that's his garden. He made it, right? So you can do what you want with your garden. You can pick the weeds, you can let them grow, you can do whatever you want, harvest when you want, and proportionally for yourself. Well, that's what they're doing. And when they talk about all when Kim mentioned about all the people that were brought in, from other places, other planets and systems, and that's why there's so many races here. Here's a good analogy for you. You remember Project Paperclip in our time, right? That's exactly what it was. that was their project paperclip.
Yeah.
That's how all that ended up happening. Well, all these races are here. They don't want to be here, but they have no choice because either their planet's blown out or they were just captured and they're here.
Yeah.
That's their
So
project paperclip.
let's play a game of who goes where, right? So now we're going to get into people. So you've got 301 families, right? And recently, as of 2018, when the covenant between these two groups expired, 2018, December 2nd through the 7th, right?
Yes.
Now, for most of you that don't remember, December 2nd through the 7th of 2018 was Hanukkah. Okay. Now, remember, God made an agreement, or Source made an agreement with Solomon, the line of Solomon, that the line of David would reign for 3,000 years. I think that's the way it says in the Bible, doesn't it?
May I say, you said Source. Source didn't make any agreement with them.
Well, who made the agreement? I considered it to be Source.
Oh yeah, well I see. Well, no, the Source is Source. He doesn't interact with anything. The ones that claim to be God and working with Solomon, you see, that's not Source. That was the claimant, like a plaintiff and a claimant.
Oh, you're talking about. Are you saying that it was Abraxas that made that agreement between these two groups?
Well, of course, it's their commerce.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
The Abraxas
I'm
family,
learning every day.
the Abraxas family would have been playing the role of like Yahweh or Yahweh Elohim, the way that would have been perceived in the scriptures, huh, George?
That's correct, and maybe they even delegated that downline.
So that's why you have this two different versions of this God, where you have the angry, wrath-filled God in the Old Testament, then you have the, loving Savior in the New Testament, right?
The psychotic.
Yeah.
It's just a game of chaos to keep you confused because that's all part of making loosh. And that's in their business is commerce. The loosh is like it gives life again. They can just take off some of your energy, not take all your energy. They harvest what they can glean off of your vibrations, and then they have their ways of containing it. Like, for example, we think about making a drug, and they have a way of containing the loosh, selling it or using it as payment, like she mentioned. What do these people do to get paid? Well, how do you think? There's no money out. What do you mean money? They get the drugs.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was masterful. So, because the tabernacle of witness, it's called in the Old Testament, basically is a blueprint for the human body. So they were laying out the blueprint of how they were harvesting our energy using that blueprint. That's fascinating. Okay.
That's what it's all about. Is getting your loosh. Keep making loosh for them, and they're happy. They know how to contain the loosh when it escapes your body. They know how to gather it, and basically you could say encapsulate it, however they do that, and sell it. That's their game. Commerce is number one. But it wasn't Source here.
If I didn't say it, loosh is what they were using to charge the power packs in all the suns. No sun, and your entire galaxy dies.
That's right. So
they were basically, yeah.
And then if you want a little for yourself, keep you going and or enjoy a high or whatever you want to do. I mean, loosh does it all. Does it all. Interesting, huh?
Yeah. Now, is there a difference between? I do remember totally 100% that M and them used to absolutely use loosh. They used to call it a specialty. Now, question for you. One thing I didn't know. So I know that, like, depending on the state when you are looshing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know it depends on the flavor of the loosh, right? Like what you're getting out of it. So would you consider the lower frequencies more like to feed like an army that needs to fight and that kind of thing when the looshing happens?
Okay, let's be clear now. What, say that again, please?
With when looshing happens, right? So
Yeah.
at any given moment, when they decide to, milk the cows, say they
Right.
milk us, and say if we're at a very low vibration, that's why they do the PSI ops, like at that time.
Right.
Does that give a different kind of high to the user?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Does it make them more like aggressive, want to fight, or?
Well, yes, you could say that. You could say that. There's.
I just wanted to know if it was like a kind of like empaths are, right? If you're an empath, you go to the grocery store, you go to the mall, people are fighting and pushing, it's Black Friday, you come home and you feel like awful, like you just
Yeah.
waded through smelly poop or something, right?
Yes,
And
right.
and if conversely speaking, if you're in a place of love and warmth and kindness, maybe it's your favorite church, going to see your favorite movie, whatever it is, and then you come home feeling rejuvenated and more alive. It's like you
Yeah.
absorb all that energy. So I'm assuming
Same
if we're
thing.
doing that, it's the same thing for them.
Exactly. Exactly. And then with that combination of excuse me, I should say it, I use the term combination. They gather that lewis under all these circumstances. So now you have different kinds of lewis, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think these people they do it? They can mix and match. It's just bizarre. It's just like taking like the street drugs. You want to have a drug. You want a downer. You want an upper. You want a hallucinogen. You see what I'm saying? They create all that stuff. That's what they do and sell. And that's
Now,
pay the others.
here's the strange part about this for me. So, I know that it was a little different for a time, but Tesla created free energy, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he created a way to, I mean, many scientists have. It's not just Tesla. He's just the, very famous one. You have Levashov, you have a number of Russian scientists alive and not alive, and they've all created free energy devices and products and whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't that use the same exact thing? I mean,
Oh,
like
that's a little different, dear. No, that's different. That's not
oh, it's
loose.
different. It's not the
Yeah.
same as when it comes directly from. So like we could have synthetic milk, right? Of some sort,
Yeah. Yeah.
and or cow milk or goat milk, right? And it's not the same thing.
No, that would be a little different. The loose is because the loose is from us, from the humans.
Right.
And but the energy you're speaking of, like with Tesla's energy, that's energy right from source. That's source
Okay.
energy. Right?
Well, and
And
they didn't want to let anybody know that that could happen, so they had to suck it out of us. I'm not really sure.
well, here's why. Okay, look, they're milking the cows, right? The herd, the livestock.
Mhm.
Well, if you make things too nice for them, free energy,
Right.
you make a utopia, like my plan, a utopic plan.
Mhm.
Everybody's so happy. Well, the loose goes down. They can't get as much loose. And even if they get some, then there's ways to get that too. But it's not enough. It doesn't generate the quantity of loose. So that's why they couldn't let it go.
Well, let's continue with let's play Jeopardy. Okay, Viking.
Okay.
I got my board up here. I want to make sure it's correct first of all. Okay, so you're saying that the line of Solomon, which would be line of Solomon, and the Black Sun folks, which would be Solomon's demons, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Both would be considered covens, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's great.
And okay, so the Abraxas made a deal between the two that these people would stay on the throne for 3,000 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Business deal. It's a business deal. Is all I want.
Okay, so 3,000 in our years, supposedly, which expired in December during Hanukkah 2018. Okay, so it seemed to me right about that time is when these people, well, they prepped for it for a couple years before. I'd say it was about 4 years ago or so. They started to really like put their people everywhere. They're like infiltrators.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, heads of state, they're changing out presidents, they're putting new people in place all over the world. They're really, and I think that they were prepping for this day to come.
Yeah, because that was the end of the contract.
But oddly enough, it was also the same time that the others started calling me the guardian and not the trustee anymore.
That's right. Yep.
Okay.
Because well, the reason is because you were see their contracts were done, and yours was the only one that was still alive for anything. Nobody, no other agreements were made, and of course now they're not going to be. But that's so that was it. You.
Woo. Now I'm neither one of these, so you know.
No,
I'm
no.
the outlier. I'm like the anomaly. What would you say? What would you call me?
You're like me. We come from
Bruce.
source. We're from source.
We're the outliers.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep, the divergence. Okay, so all right. So Line of Solomon, let's talk about who this is. This would be dragon families, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This would be Rothschild.
Yeah. The Dracos.
Yeah, these are
All
these are
Dracos.
the ones that the Draco people that mated with the Abraxans, right? The parents.
Well, I'm sorry. Dracos. They don't mate with Abraxans, not Abraxans.
Oh, okay. All right.
The Dracos would mate with the humans and the
The humans.
down line over there. The Dracos. That's who you're talking about on the Solomon side. All Dracos.
Okay. All right, good. Okay, so now we got that cleared up. All right, so dragon families, Rothschild. Who else would you say? The Li family would be over here of China, your benevolent elders. Who else would be over here?
Well, that would
Bowers.
Your De Beers.
be, for example, like that.
Yeah,
Anybody
De Beers.
in that genetic line, because every country and every race has that infiltration of them. That's what they were trying to do.
Yeah, like he started, was it the Mantids or him that started it with Kublai Khan?
I think it was him.
It was him.
I think
Yeah, I wasn't sure. So
you're talking about M, right?
yeah.
Yeah, right. That's right. That's it.
Yeah, so their goal way back in the day was actually to infiltrate every person that controlled any plot of land in the world by marriage and by birth.
Yeah.
And so he was going to infiltrate all his bloodline into all the people, and then he would become king on earth.
That would be a DNA infusion. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we call it.
Yeah. And so then he had designs against the Abraxas too.
Well, that's why he didn't make it.
So so George, let me ask you. So this traces back, it would seem to me, would go back to the bloodline of Cain, right? Because this is like the Canaanites.
Canaanites is canon law, right? Which then takes us to the other side.
The other side, got it. Okay.
Correct, Viking?
Right. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
your Cain would be over here. Your Canaanites, and therefore your canon law and concords of sea.
Right.
Your holy see. Okay.
Exactly.
So let's
that's separate from the Draco.
right. These people would have been more in line with the Abraxas, right?
Yeah. The Cain and Abel story is so funny because it's opposite. They say the Abel story that there was some good guys, right? That was the Draco. And the Cain side was more, it wasn't, they left. So that would be more black sun, if you want to call it. The Abraxans divided it up.
Cain was the first sovereign. He was the first one released by the family to go and be sovereign.
That's right. And so what everybody thinks is the good guy, Abel and all that stuff, and Solomon, they were the Dracos, they were the bad guys.
All right, so we would have the Holy See over here under the black sun, correct?
That's right.
And you would also have both the black and white Pope.
Mhm.
Okay, so there's no difference.
No.
Would you say the black always rules the white? Right now we got a black-white Pope. We got like a checkerboard Pope.
Well, yeah, that's a good. Well, you know, one of the more famous Masonic symbols of in their places and temples and homes is black and white tile, right?
Wait, black and
Yes.
white what?
Black
Tile.
and white checkered tile. That's
Really?
what it represents. That's what it represents.
They even stole checkers? I mean, really?
Yeah.
These guys are dicks.
Yeah. That's how they practice. Practice that whole system.
So you would have had the black Pope would have been kind of higher up, right? But you would have had generals up here somewhere too, right? I put in Project Paperclip in the Brill, right?
Well, yeah, right. That's correct. But with the generals and so forth, that would be like from the Pope, the Holy See down, you know.
Okay, so would this be like where 5-star trust would fit in, the 5-star generals they talk about?
Yeah.
Okay. Because everybody's heard about that on the internet. If you haven't, you can look it up. Marion Horn's still running around.
Good JR. I know JR.
You know, I have a question for you. So we were talking a little bit earlier today before we got on here, and we were discussing the guy known as LWR. There's a guy running around named Mark that calls him Papa. They call him the big almighty Papa. And he's a 5-star general and originally from 5-star Trust. Now, where would you have been at that time, like when the Noriega thing was being orchestrated? Where would you have been? You would have been his superior, right?
Oh no, I don't have nothing to do with them.
Well, you know what I'm saying. I mean, as far as in the ranking order for military people that
Above.
need to know, where would you have been?
Well, I see what you're saying. I was still above them as far as monitoring and observation, but I would be on the ground. If I was on the ground, then I would just have to play a different part, you know, wear a different hat. So I would be down, be like one of them, and just as a adjutant consultant and so forth, run with them. I ran with them all aboard, you know.
One more, you ran with which ones? Oh, these guys?
Yeah, sure. Oh yeah, JR and General Ferrari, yeah. But you see, the whole thing is it's like a big game, like a chess. Like we talked about the Masonic black and white tile checkers. That was very good. Tank mentioned that. Interesting because checkers and chess, the whole thing is a game. It's just a game. And then we just didn't, you know, the people just don't realize that they're part of their game pieces in the game. But if you have a mind to start waking up, you can change. You can change the game. Imagine playing chess or checkers and the piece starts moving on its own, right? That's what you want to see. And then you want to move off the board and get away from them.
So for everyone watching here, and I've always wondered about this, the scientists that came over, for those of you that are unfamiliar with Project Paperclip, it was actually a program being run after World War II, where they brought all of the Nazi scientists, the Dr. Mengel's people, over to America and also to Argentina, even though they won't say that, and Paraguay also, even though they won't say that, and also to Greenland and a number of other locations.
Well, Russia got some too.
One thing I noticed about them, how many of them were Vril infected?
Vril? Oh, I see. Well, that's hard to say. That's probably why they divided them up, I think, my dear. You know, Russia got some of them too, you know. They had to divide them up.
Yes, I'm aware.
Yes, and that's one reason why, because they didn't know how involved with the drill each one was, so they figured they better separate them in case something got out of hand.
Right. So now we're at least getting into Project Paperclip would be over here. Okay.
That was a big advent, that shifted many things in the
The
world.
Fed would be over here, Federal Reserve. And the Treasury Departments, or Treasury of USA, which is not the same as the Department of Treasury,
No.
would be over here under the Black Sun. So Black Sun controls the treasuries, or some countries don't have treasuries, they just have central banks. It's the same thing. Okay.
Yeah, but it's run by two different entities.
Yeah.
Federal Reserve was run by the Drake.
Yeah, which would be on the Dragon family side.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, Dragon families and the Black Sun do the same thing. They divide the world into areas, right?
Well, they have
Zones.
to share. You're sharing.
Yeah. So, and they call so Dragon families, you've got the colored dragons, right?
Mhm.
Everybody's a dragon. They all have the pretty little rings. They all act like they're so wonderful and benevolent, and they're really not. They're horrible for people, all of them. Asian, black, white, orange, green. I don't care where you come from. You're not very nice. And these people had 9 dragon families, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
9.
Okay.
Yeah, they divided the world into 9 sectors. Now, would you say the Black Sun did as well?
Well, it's interesting. The Black Sun tried to infiltrate everywhere through all of it.
Yes, they're infiltrators. Absolutely. Yeah.
They do. That's how they do. That's how they exist, basically. And the Abraxans, to them, it's just like they laugh. I mean, they get such a kick out of all the antics that the controllers are doing. And
Yeah.
then, of course, the poor people, they don't know what's going on. And they just go in and just get all the whoosh.
Okay, so titles, I've heard this one here, over here. Black Eagle, for those of you that want to know about your Black Eagle bonds and your Black Eagle, whatever, and
There's a white
Mussolini played the
There's a
part
white
of Black
eagle too.
Eagle.
I'm sorry. There's a white eagle too. I mean, they'll use names
Yes,
for
I'm
all.
familiar.
There's a stack of them.
Yeah,
And
red.
yes, and it's just
Yeah,
never
but
ending.
Black Eagle needs to be noted here because a lot of people are talking about Black Eagle bonds and
Well, that's
Black
because
Eagle Trust and
it's so prolific in the Fed Reserve System. I mean, I got all those kinds of those documents, and it's just at the well, it's at the higher level of the financial that they know of, that the humans know of. But it was
Right.
just
Would you consider Black Eagle? Okay, whoever held the position of Black Eagle, would that be like the Pindar would be over here? You have Pindar, which is the head of the dragon families, right? Or the penis of the dragon, because if anybody who's ever met a Draco, they look like.
Pindars and the Godfathers, we all share in that.
Oh, it'd be the Godfather. Whoever
Well,
held God.
they were sharing it. I'm saying, it's not one or the other. Yeah, they're all involved with that.
Well, now Bush Sr. was Prescott also the Godfather? I know Bush Sr. was.
No, I don't think Prescott was. That happened after. See, the Godfathership was given to.
Oh, right. It would have been Mussolini at the time, right?
Yeah, it was
Mussolini.
It was given to George H.W. Bush, the old man, because of what happened to Prescott, how they treated Prescott. That's why it was bequeathed to him. And that was under the order of the Queen and the hierarchies thereof.
Okay, so is the Queen of England line of Solomon, or would she be considered Black Sun?
Well, I would see that when we say Queen, I have to clarify that.
The old lady everyone sees on TV.
Well, no, it's the crown. Remember I said.
Well, Crown is Rothschild. Crown Corporation.
That's
Rothschild.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we say the Queen in the business or intelligence, that's what we refer to. Right.
So Crown Corp.
Yeah,
I know that. And anybody that mentions the Crown, they're the Department of Justice is tied to the Crown.
Yeah.
Bar Association takes an oath to the Crown. We are talking about Crown Corporation, which is Rothschild, and this particular subsector is known as the Blue Dragon.
That's right.
Yeah.
See, we refer to it, we use the word, well, the saying, when we say the queen, they like that because it's softer and it's more, and everyone loves the queen, so it's constantly used that way, but it's always in reference to the crown. Means nothing.
Right.
She's just waiting for her some kind of payout too, or some high,
Yeah. So when they say, oh, the queen is evil, and then there's 9 billion videos that analyze her, she looks like a shape-shifting reptilian or whatever. So
No.
she's nowhere near any of these people.
No.
Now,
Crown,
where would you consider the Templars?
that is the Templar.
Hmm?
Well, the Templars. I would say that you mean like to designate specifics. They're it's
Yeah.
interesting because the Templars are in all of it. They are like the Black Sun. They infiltrate everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and the Templars are part of both.
So you would consider them working for both sides, just depending, like they're
within both.
separated. Yeah.
No, they're within both.
Okay, they're within both. Okay, but where would their loyalties lie?
Well, you see the creation of the like the Venetian bankers and stuff that they created the Federal. I mean not Federal, but the Rothschild banking for the Queen. See, that was Templar. That was all Templar
Right,
instigated.
1500 or something ish.
So you see, they started there, and then when the Black Sun comes in, wants them to control, well, they're going to be their friends too. So then they join them too. So I mean, it's hard to put down anything on there.
So we've kind of these. This wouldn't be at the top. That would be an operation. These are operations, but you kind of get generally the control structure.
And the Vril are no more, are they?
They're gone.
Very minimal now.
Well, just whatever ones are infected into a person that we haven't found yet.
Very minimal.
The farm is gone. That's why, for anyone that doesn't know, they used to call Langley Farm 41, Farm 42, Farm 44, because the Vril is a farm. So they would have inserted people or Brill, right? Infected Brill into, and then gave them the Jason Bourne crack or whatever pill it was and told them they was going to make them a better operative and all this. But in reality, it was just so that their body could tolerate the Vril inhabitants, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
That's what I thought. Yeah. I figured that out when I was looking at one of them and their pupils weren't round. I'm like, what are you?
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, we don't have time today.
Crack.
Yeah, I call it Jason Bourne crack. It's like, that's what the movie is about. Remember, he takes the pills, he goes into the underground thing. I'm a good soldier. When he comes out, he got to take the pills every day. Yeah, that's what they're talking about is Jason Bourne crack. All right, so let's talk about societies, agencies, governments, real quick. And I know we've been on this call now for 2 hours, and I apologize, Viking. But quickly, let's start naming off who is who in the zoo. Okay, we've already put the Fed over here, Federal Reserve. So at one point in time, the Black Sun was committed by the Abraxas. Apparently, I thought it was sourced like a Solomon thing, but no, there was a commitment. These people were bound by a covenant to serve them as the security, right?
That's right.
Okay, and then after that,
that was an Abraxan arrangement.
Okay, and so when that arrangement was over, these guys thought that they had infiltrated everything enough, right, to take over.
Yeah, well, because for example,
that's why they brought me here to Black Sunville, where I live, just so you know.
Remember, I told you they needed you, right?
Yeah.
Because it's helped take down the Dracos. You help. Because it had to be done. Because that had to be done first.
I didn't do it for them. I did it for us.
No. Well,
and now we're steadily helping them along too, just like we did with Draco. So that's where we're going to get to by the time we're done with all of this. Okay, so the Fed would be with the families. Holy See would be over here.
Yep.
completely Black Sun controlled. Okay. From the get-go. Black Pope would be over here, black and white. Okay, no difference. Sorry if you're Catholic. Still, you can reach source however you need to, reach God however you want to. Just going into a special building where you have to pay these people money to tell you how to do it is really not a thing. So, but you can go because it feels good to be around all these other people that are trying to reach God too, right?
Yeah.
So that's not a bad thing. It's just I know. Well, let's not go there right now.
I don't. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I know what you're gonna say, but source is source, science is science. We'll save that one for another day. Okay, so all right, so we got the Holy See, black and white Pope. Oops. We got the Federal Reserve over there. We already talked about Treasury of China. You may not know. It's over here. People's Bank of China would be over here. SIP system would be over here. Treasury of China, Treasury of USA, insert name here, Mexico.
Well, that's how all the countries would be. The treasuries of each country would be under that.
Yeah, treasuries of every country.
Any central banking placement would be under the others.
Would be under the Fed, right? Okay, so Central Bank of Russia,
All central banks under that line, and then all treasuries under the other line. That's how it was.
Every currency in the world would be controlled through here.
Right.
So these people would have been responsible as the pass through from the trust and all those other people up there. Okay. All right. So your SIP system is over here. Your SWIFT system is over here. Wire, over here. Where would you say IBAN is, George?
Well, that's probably over. That's probably over in the Black Sun side.
Okay.
But yeah, but they just work it together so that everybody can cipher off some,
Yeah.
And,
Visa system over here. I know that for sure. That's MI6 for those that don't know. And MasterCard. Okay. American Express. Jesuit order would be under the Black Sun.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Jesuit order be under the Black Sun.
Yeah.
But slaves to the 301 families, the way they said to you that one time.
Yeah. They think they're in charge of everything. Yeah, that's the guy that also called me a liar, which is why we have special guests today. For anybody who's asking. Okay, so I fight with these people all the time. They know everything. You know nothing, and they know everything in the world. They are the beginning and the end. They are the alpha, the omega, the king honcho, right here.
That's what they think.
Yeah, that's what they think. But still, they're nowhere near.
They're all compartmentalized, right?
Yes.
So, like the guy who posted the things up on the website the other day, for example, Mr. Wiss, who posted all this information about this really secret, amazing order of big time leaders and how they're all doing great things. Now, I know some of our people who talk to him. And I also know that some things he said to you. They actually sent me screenshots. And seems like he was just completely convinced that he has all the answers. He's doing everything. And you put a challenge out to them, as you've been putting out for the past 3 years, to basically, let's do it face to face. Let's see who can bring the money down. Let's see who can bring the codes down. Let's see who really understands the system, right? And they never seem to show up for that fight. I'm always amazed by that. With all their knowledge, it seems like they'd be tougher, George.
Nah, they can't do anything. You see, it's compartmentalized from the top down, and then it's done in such a way that each level thinks they're so damn smart. That was him.
Yeah, they do. They're the chosen ones,
Yeah,
They're the
good at that. He was the master at that.
So I added the CIA and Skull and Bones over here under Black Sun, right?
Yeah. Yeah, down nice and low.
De La Rue would be over here. I put all banks in the world. Every bank in the world is tied to the Fed in some way, shape, or another, whether through someone else directly or indirectly. And where would you put the United Nations?
Well,
The
below all
peacekeeping
that,
forces and the military of the UN, I know, and NATO is over here.
that's
right?
probably where they would be too.
Well, I
Down
know
low.
Rothschild controls the UN, right? The United Nations itself, or did, or does, because all of their families, the Rockefellers and everything would be
Yeah.
over here, in case you don't
They're,
know.
they're
And
involved
they're
there
in our
too.
6 seats.
Yeah.
I know that for sure. Yeah. But the peacekeeping forces of the UN take a piece of everything.
Mhm.
So
They-
earlier
they
today, Ken,
share, those two groups share.
Yeah.
The UN and NATO, they share.
so they would be on both sides.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
They both.
Okay, they would be on both sides. Okay,
Hey,
so
hey, Joe. So
IMF would be Rothschild?
Yeah.
That would be kind of both sides too, because you have the
It is
mercenary
kind of both
division.
sides because it
Yeah.
was implemented from us on our over here in I just seen one of the documents just this morning, I think it was, or yesterday. But
So
yeah,
we would, yeah, so we would put the United Nations, let's put it in the middle. Okay. United Nations would have both sides in there.
that middle part is important, mind you, because you see what they were doing and trying to organize the structure just as you've done it to try to come down and merge. And you see the UN, the IMF, the World Bank, it's all under that center section. And that was
Well,
part
I
of
know the XM Bank is Black Sun, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
But you
the
see, they're
XM
trying to
Bank.
get a merger going down in the center of those two groups for the new world order.
Well, but each one wants to be the king, right?
Well, yeah, and that's what they couldn't handle it very easy because everybody wants to be king, right? So
I think
that
I'm
was the
going off
merger.
I'm going
That was-
off the thing here. So I'm going to
Yeah.
go back up now that
Okay.
we've kind of discussed the top societies, right?
Sure, yeah.
Bilderbergs, they would be the families, Committee of
Yeah, right.
300, that would
Right.
be on the family side.
And all that stuff.
Yeah,
But you
so
But they were
now,
trying to figure out a merger for both of them to share. That's why they
Yeah.
were doing all that. So
I
they
gotcha.
were trying to alleviate the fighting
But-
and arguing and trying to think of a merging partnership, and that's what that was about.
yeah, so then when some crazy blonde, I don't know who she is, right, got in touch with these Black Sun folks over here,
Yeah.
and
That must-
basically told them, I don't know, what's this contract that expires 2018? You should really look it up. Well, you guys are ones that do everything anyway, and you should take over for those people.
yeah.
So who was playing who?
Yeah.
And that, my friends, was started in June of 2016.
Yep.
So
always remember,
right about the time they started putting all their heads of state in office, they were getting all their people elected around the world. They were starting to take over everything. But all it takes is one little seed. I'll tell you something. M's brother told me once, he was what we called the spook, right? The holy spook. And he asked me, he said, how much does it cost to start a war? And his answer was a cup of coffee at the right bar, the right phone call, right? A drink at
Yep.
the right place. All you got to do is sit down at the right place and have the right conversation. So in
Oh, yeah.
2016, Black Sun, I did that for you. You're welcome. So then you started destroying everybody and you think, oh, Kim's helping. Woo, she got the Draco out. We're in, it's our time.
That's what
Well,
they
not
thought.
exactly. I was just watching you guys do this to each other for a while there till this year.
Sure.
So, okay.
You just gotta do
So
what they
all agencies would be Black Sun
Yeah. That's
around the world. Every intelligence agency on the planet would report to the Black Sun.
Black Sun,
Okay.
that's correct.
CIA, MI6, it doesn't matter. The GRU, which is what you might be familiar with as KGB. I mean, China agency, that's all Black Sun. The Politburo of China is all Black Sun. There is no difference. It's the
No.
same people.
It's all the same. Yep.
Right. Okay. I'm not. So the SSP would also be Black Sun, the Secret Space Force, now called the Space Force
Right. That's right.
in Face Front, right?
Yeah.
You have Not a Space Agency over here. Not a space
Yeah.
agency, not a space agency. Repeat
Nada.
myself. Right, yeah, no, not. Okay, so IMF would be shared, the mercenary side, and there is one of the IMF would be over here, the Black Sun, and the monetary side would be over with the families. We've already talked about the United Nations being a part of both. Okay, a tool. We talked about NATO, right?
Yeah.
No action, whoops, sorry. No action, talk only. That's what I
Talk
called them. No action, talk only. They just get on TV and talk crap. Let's see. Any other ones you want to know about, Tank? Who else should we
No,
put in here? Oh, heads of state. Let's talk about the executive branch. For those of you that don't know, the executive branch of every country was assigned over to the trust, right? Face front Rothschild, right? Which was the face of the trust. But as you know, there's a whole nother page before them, right? So yeah, under the European Steel and Coal Community, I think it was called the treaty. I don't know why that treaty, but it was the Santa Claus inside that treaty that assigned your executive branch over. Now that turned into later on NAFTA.
Right.
So why do you think, see, we've already made this point clear, and I'm so sorry. It doesn't mean he's a bad person, and it doesn't mean he can't switch sides. That's
Right.
why he exited the NAFTA agreement,
Right. That's right.
freeing up the executive branch, which was a good thing for all of us, you know?
Yeah.
and by the way, the genius of Trump that everyone loves, they love to just talk about what a genius President Trump is. And what he's done is the most logical, practical things that every leader before him also should have done if they were operating in the best interest of the country. It is average. It's what should be done, just for the record. It's not genius, okay? But it's excellent that he did it because no other leader did. That's what makes it exceptional. What makes great leaders is not that they're the only one that could have done it. It's that they're the one that does it, right?
Right.
Which is what we're hoping President Trump, I really hope he stays the course of his reputation.
Well, you know what? You know the stuff that happened recently to him. I was going to ask you about what your opinion was, Kim, on that. I think that those.
Well, when the turning point, I think, for American citizens and also for the world, because everybody looks at the American president, the turning point was when they offered him a job, right? The Black Sun did. This is who had
Right.
offered them a job, and then told him he wasn't worthy, and now he's mad.
Yeah,
He's tearing down the house.
that's good for us. I mean, that's what you want.
It's good for us as Americans, so we're very thankful for that.
And you
So he
see, I
has an
think they
intention
just,
of getting
I
rid
think
of the
that really
votes now.
unites us.
So he'll be joining Life Force, I hope.
Yeah, I hope so.
Anyway.
We got space.
Okay, so AT&T. Okay. Your mobile telecom companies, Fox News would be over here. CNN is Ted Turner. He is Black Sun for sure. Associated Press. I think I'd put them over here. Would you? Viking? Did we lose him?
No, he's here.
He might have
Yeah,
blocked us
wait for
out
me.
for a second. I put the Associated Press and Reuters over here,
Because they're
which
controlling the narrative.
unfortunately, yeah, they feed all the news to every news channel predominantly in the world, at least all the majors, your BBC, all your main newspapers. It was actually a movement called Project Mockingbird, for those of you that don't know. So Project Mockingbird is the one that was the complete and total takeover of the media, and that was designed by the Black Sun and executed via the CIA. Also
And
known
for anybody
as,
who thinks that this whole thing is insane, you can actually go to the CIA library online at CIA.gov, and you can get a whole dissertation on Project Mockingbird and how they used it in harmony with like yellow journalism and basically took over all of these different news organizations. They planted their people. Even most recently, they had to have scripts and movies have to be approved by the CIA. So that's very common. You know, and all this I know because we're trying to bring it down to the place where it makes sense for everybody. Like, okay, this I can believe. I've heard of these things. But all the stuff that Kim just explained and the Viking just explained, they're important and real. But here's where it starts to come home to us, so to speak. Like, here's how it affects your life. So I think it's really important.
Well, so if there's anyone that we missed, you can ask us and we'll get that information out to you. Any agencies you're wondering about, the G8, the governments would all be, obviously the financial aspect is controlled by them and I should say, and the agencies, you know, control the agencies and the military would be over here. No, more than likely, if the military is arresting anyone, it would be like, you know, one of these guys, right? Because we just defined the fact that they're fighting against each other. So militaries would be loyal to the Black Sun, but I guarantee you they're not arresting the Black Pope anytime in the near future. Okay, so your military tribunals you're hearing about might take down like the Clintons and whatever. Your Islamic Kelphites, you know, they're all the same. So they'll send the military to the same place the Taliban is, as an example, and be funding and paying for them both. So they automatically know where everybody is going to be. And that's why it's called military theater. Now, unfortunately, I know many very, committed patriots and amazing veterans that have served, but this is what these guys do to you. Okay, so the order comes down from the think tanks and the generals, and then that gets down to your militaries, and then they're playing both sides. They also they fund terrorism and counterterrorism all the time. Okay, it's called the military theater. So the fact that the U.S. military just basically, I don't know what you want to say, invaded Australia this week.
Really?
Oh yes, quarantine camps, all the thing.
Oh,
That for a long time, I mean, hundreds of years, Australia has been a testing ground for a lot of different things in New Zealand, and so they're there in full force. I'm waiting to get some information from our citizen journalists that are there. But yes, that happened this week, 2 days ago, I think 24 hours ago, maybe tops. Everybody's going back into lockdown, which is called, this whole COVID thing is called Project Lockstep. So the Black Sun needs us all subservient. We're now wearing masks, we're doing all the things. So they were the operation runners, and they absolutely, beyond a shadow of a doubt, told me to my face, if they were not in control by 2019, they were releasing a virus. 150%.
so this is kind of like where I'm just showing this, Kim, on the screen that, you know, one of our people pulled together from when you explained it, right? So this cycle of just back and forth, they're completely dependent on each other. Even though you have these two sides, the Black Sun and, you know, and the Dragon families on the other side, or Rothschild or 301, they're completely dependent on each other. Matter of fact, even recently, it was the Rothschilds or the Dragon families that hired the Black Sun hackers to mess with the election, right? To actually,
yes, they did. Yeah.
So they, even in their war against each other,
On the deep web or the dark web or whatever they call it, but yes, they did.
So in a war against each other, where one is they're vying for control, there's not even, they can't even trust each other.
Well, they don't trust each other at all. And you have ones that are still kind of loyal to the Rothschild side on the Black Sun side. So you kind of have like a war in Langley going on, as an example. Some of them want to stay with Rothschild because they think that their money's going to get paid out on the RV. They got dinar, whatever, on that side of it. And they don't think the Black Sun's ever going to achieve nirvana of getting a hold of the system. And they're right and they're wrong on both counts. So
it's a perpetual cycle of an infinite cycle of never getting to where they want to be. They can't ever win. And this whole process, they will devour. It's a cannibalizing system. They will devour themselves essentially if they were allowed to continue on this path. And we would just be collateral damage essentially, right?
Yeah. No, they don't care. So the Abraxas interference, it's important to understand. So they were working with the Black Sun. So they were very angry with me in particular, but also the fact that their loosh farming operation ceased. So now there are obviously many more pyramids in the world, right, than the ones in Egypt, but let's talk about those, right? So as they would farm the loosh, right, or suck it out of us all year long, December 21st was always harvest day. Okay, that's a perfect alignment with one or two systems, solar systems, I guess you would say. And that's why we have, I'll put it in flat form. This is why the entire, just so you know, Gnostic Illuminati worships Egyptian gods and Greek gods, because those are the parents, right? And I just told you two of them were Egyptian, like looking. So, so you have the pyramid, right? And you have the king's chamber goes one way, and the queen's chamber goes the other way, right? So, and then you have the storage tanks for loosh, right? And that's why you have no capstone, because that goes directly to the central sun. Can't let that happen. And that alignment only happens once every 1,000 years, so you know. Would have been the alignment. That's why they vowed not to have, they don't even want to lose all that big harvest, right? So they got so angry, they started working with the Black Sun to defeat Rothschild, right? Which pretty much they kind of have. This is your Earth Alliance. This is your Galactic Alliance, your Galactic Federation people, your SSP people. Remember, they're Black Sun, okay? Never any different. Sorry. So the Black Sun made a deal with the Abraxas that they were just going to harvest us all completely. In other words, we're all going to die. And now we have COVID. Get all the good little slaves back in line, recommit them to them, and then commit their souls back to the Abraxas. Dead or alive, doesn't matter to them. You know, they can put you in a soul in another meat suit. And so, yeah, they don't really care if we all lived or died through this whole process. So that's the advent of COVID-19, and what they call COVID-19 is actually Project Lockstep. So, oh, I can't say that, right? They're going to cut us off. Are we still live?
What are they going to do? You just broke down the entire process. If YouTube is really that dumb to like shut
They probably want to know too.
Yeah, like honestly, the
more you know.
YouTube and everybody else, you should be paying attention, because this is a problem that's coming to your house very soon, and that's part of the reason why we have the Viking on. But
yeah, where is he?
You know, I got him right here. I can see him, but he's you know,
is he muted?
He's muted. I keep trying to unmute him.
No. Am I okay now?
You are.
You're
I
good.
lost you.
You dropped out for a moment, and then I got back on.
So
I got it.
Mr. Viking, so you were there when they started weaponizing viruses and whatnot, right?
Oh yeah, of course. Well, they've always been doing it.
I know you were. Yeah, I know they always have been, but you remember them weaponizing Ebola for what happened in 2014?
Oh yeah, I thought about Ebola. Yeah, I was. Yeah, that's a bad one.
Yeah.
That's, you don't want to. If they get really mad or something, that's what they would cut loose. Because then it would be done.
Well, let's get to the good news, because I know we're holding you up a long time. And
no, I don't mind. I love.
So by 2007, so he walked away in spring of 2001. By 2007, he didn't have clearance anymore. And, you know, they do the same thing to people that don't do what they want, that they've done to me. You know, they condition you, right? They
Yeah.
give you know, fake wives, fake boyfriends, you know, you can't get a job anywhere, you can't do anything, you can't move, you can't breathe, and then you'll just come crawling back to them, the almighty gods, right, for your existence, right?
That's what they think, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they think. Well, that doesn't really work for people like us. But the good news is that today we reinstated his clearance at 5 levels higher than he had before. And so one thing we can say about the Viking is they are truly afraid of this man on every level of the order. It doesn't matter if you're from this planet or not from this planet, they are afraid of this man. He's got a history, a long, long time history with them. The other thing that we have is we have reinstated something that the trust has had forever called the Global Intelligence Agency. Now, the Global Intelligence Agency used to be under the Black Sun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was removed years ago. I did that a long time ago. And then now Global Intelligence Agency is ours. Okay. And it's been empty since I stopped working with Jesper so years ago. And nobody's been in there. So one thing that these people recognized all the way down to the bottom of the agencies, all the way up, is something called, what did they call it? The GDO, right?
Global Directorate.
Yeah, the Global Directorate Office.
That's right.
It's alive.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can get it. Probably.
All right. So the good news is we now have 3 people working there. Guess who?
Sweets. Sweets.
So we have the Viking. He's in there, right? So since he's got a lot more experience than the other ones, we put him in there as well. But you also have Tank now in there. Congratulations on your clearance that you've been issued. And of course, Mr. Melville. So
Very cool.
yeah, that's who we've got now in the Global Intelligence Agency, Global Directorate Office. Now, any agency in the world, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Viking, but will take orders in direction from the Global Directorate Office.
Well, they better. They better align themselves real quick.
So otherwise it goes back to being the enforcer and the reaper.
Yeah.
So we've got one person who's still operational and running and doing all the things, right? How many of the other 6 generals are still around? Do you know? Or 5, other than yourself?
I would have to check. I'm not sure, because I just figured I'd wait and see what happens. There were 6 of us. There was only 6 of us.
Right.
Wow.
Yep. So we also have further good news. We have confirmed how to bypass them legally, right? So now we have enforcement. So they can actually order marshals, they can send white papers out, they can send all this information to arrest. So say we go to the Department of Justice, right? We go to the FBI and we say that David Rea, that you all know, okay, is his name. He works for the Clinton Foundation in child trafficking and child auctioning, sorry. And he is the Team Bubba you guys all know and love, right?
Team Bubba.
So next time we turn his file into the FBI, then if they get a call from a Democratic senator, who is worse, the Viking or Democratic senator?
Mm-hmm.
So now we have enforcement of the enforcement, right?
Yeah.
Can't go against an order from the directorate because you never know when you're going to disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Personally.
Exactly. And we're not making arrests either. We aren't playing that game.
No, we don't do that. Okay, so anyway, so now we've got.
They can arrest their own if they want to start doing that. That's their only saving grace.
Correct. And we also have the ability to deliver any bill from the people, from the assemblies, directly to the White House. And we are going to do that. So they've notified the governor in the state of New York, right? This week. Mr. Rao? Mr. Rao.
Sorry, I was talking. Well, I repeat that part. You said there's no what in the state of New York this week with the governor?
There's you served him notice, right?
Oh,
And
yes. Yes,
what
we
is
did.
what is the technical charge against the governor?
He is being charged with genocide. We have given him the opportunity to redress the grievance. as well as several other issues that are extensive, constitutional violations, violations of humanitarian rights against the people, violating informed consent. Actually, essentially, he's acts of treason to commit, to wage war against the people.
Yeah. So the good news is that we now are drafting, right? The New York Assembly, they don't know it yet, but they'll know it after this call. We'll be drafting a bill, a formal bill in proper format directly to the President of the United States. Now, see, when the Viking signs off on it, you have enforcement, right? And when I sign off on it, you have all the other folks. No one else needs to sign it. Really, we don't even need the president to sign it at that point, but we're doing it because we should. But it automatically becomes a bill at that point.
So now
Now
this becomes
we
a
can
true
arrest
bill.
Cuomo too.
Oh, we can arrest Cuomo, and I get to serve on the GIA that's actually doing this. What an incredible benefit! So I get to actually initiate this to the Viking and yourself, submit this, and then we have lawful authority to eliminate the criminal, which is currently trying to, who just announced that he was going to wage war against the people of New York, who said he was going to assemble an army. But we have the full force of life force enforcement, which has taken out all of their superiors. The Viking, who is a feared commodity amongst the entire
So
underworld.
all 36 races, just so you know, that we discussed earlier a few pages ago, are members of Life Force. We predominantly do a lot more work as far as enforcement goes with the, I don't know, I guess you guys on the internet call them the tall whites or whatever, but that's not really what they're called. But anyway, that's who you know them as. They do a lot of enforcing. That's who Trump met with in Greenland when he went.
So I think that's really exciting to see if Governor Cuomo will redress our grievance and stop spreading lies. We have a really powerful notice with irrefutable evidence that we've been preparing for this moment when we actually have the authority to do that for almost a year.
What's it called? Misuse of power. What's the other? Failed to perform the duties. So the people have the
dereliction
right
of
to
duties.
override them. Yep.
Yeah.
You can actually override Congress and the House and go and put a bill directly on the president's desk as the assemblies.
Yeah. Criminal racketeering, violations of RICO. Yeah.
I would think President Trump would be very willing to do these things now because, at that event that happened with him recently with the Black Sun game, that
Which
was
one?
the one where he was going to be getting.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
That was a deliberate trick to screw him up. That, and I am sure, well, he figured it out, I guess, but that was done deliberate to him because of some other things that he had done earlier by taking stuff away, like you said, stepping away from the Black Sun on certain items. So they deliberately did that, and they had really no intention of going through with it. As you said, they changed their mind later, but after they did the damage. That was a move on Trump to discredit him and hurt him, and we are on that.
Great.
It wasn't just him trying to do it, trying to look for a thing.
So they set the president up.
Yeah.
They
to
did.
think they were giving him a better position,
Okay.
and that was going to allow him to have more power, more influence, whatever. And then after they got what they wanted, they pulled it and said, "You're not worthy." It's like, sorry,
Well,
I didn't know this was going to happen, kind of thing.
After the Abraxas left on a week ago Thursday. Okay, so remember when the election was, right? Just Tuesday, everything got all topsy-turvy. All of a sudden panic set in, right? And so when it looked like Biden was going to become president, they made deals, right? You heard about that, backdoor deals. And then they offered Biden the position if he could only do X, right? So there's always a teaser. If you pass the test, Obi-Wan will be the next godfather of the
If
world.
Biden could get dressed by himself, because it seems like he's walking around.
That would be a good one. Or add.
Yeah.
I,
You're
yeah,
the chosen
now-
one,
we had
Biden.
Reagan economics. Now we have Biden economics, right?
Yeah. Just
Reaganomics,
biding your
it was called.
time till the world ends. Nice. What a waste.
So is there anything else you'd like to say today? Viking, to all the people listening?
Well, they have a real good and clear path to proceed as they've been told by Tank and yourself. And they just need to continue. And with the events that have happened recently, I believe that we can pull behind Trump because he knows now that the whole thing was a trick to hurt him. And so those people above him that were playing that game are no longer above him. And we will help him clean them up.
And they sent him to Greenland for no reason whatsoever, thinking he's going to be ground command. So now you guys know a little bit more about how I became ground command, guardian, ambassador.
The only one with any common sense and to be away from any of those families. That's why you were selected, because you're perfect.
I don't know.
The biggest reason being that
Far
so
from
much
perfect.
Yes, you are.
the whole
Maybe-
underworld is
Maybe
married
as
to
far
me.
as this job is concerned, I do my best.
You do really well.
You do a good job, Ken.
We can play the long game, guys. We got this. And
Okay,
we're doing well.
so the Viking is now kind of head of operations for the GIA. Let me just ask you this before
And
you
you're
go
being mentored by one of the best, Tank.
Yes, very appreciative of that. So, would it be fair to say that have to be contingencies, right, to really do this properly? Because we need a public display, really, for things to go the right way. Because unfortunately, there's kind of a spell cast on the entire world because of the constant lies being perpetuated by the CIA-run media. So we really need a public display of someone who's done something so horrible, so heinous. It's obviously treason. It is intentionally going to hurt all the people. And we would really need a public display of that being taken down. And I would think you'd have to reference that Life Force Enforcement is the one that gave the information out. I mean, would that be fair to say, Viking? Wouldn't that make the most sense in the best interest of the people?
Of course. Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Well, the good news is that he's there, he's available. You know, he's trained many, many, many people. He can train anyone that wants to participate in this. The best news for us is that we finally have a person on our side that is 100% for the people and for the restoration of this planet. And on the flip side, everybody in the order is afraid of.
And we're coming.
All right. Well, I
So
think
that's been a good week for us, right?
hey, in the midst of chaos, I think we're doing okay.
Yeah, I mean, in the midst of chaos. So how quickly are we ending COVID now? I'd like to go to the gym without a mask on.
That would be nice. We just got to push it and get someone like President Trump to just say it, and we can enforce the rest.
Well, I'm sure with
We can do it ourselves, really, but we're giving him
a
the
couple
opportunity.
calls from you and your friends, I'm sure that we can make it happen.
Oh, yeah.
We'll probably be
Absolutely.
saying a lot of things, right?
Oh, absolutely. And we'll stop that vaccination board.
We can have them endorse My Little Pony for vice president or Speaker of the House.
So,
So get to work,
Viking,
Tank. What are you talking to me for?
so in a little while here, Viking, we're going to be putting out another video. We're going to dive in on the AstraZeneca PI, the prescribing information for the new vaccine, which in the prescribing information, it actually says that people should be prepared for the massive amounts of adverse events they expect with the COVID-19 virus, COVID-19 vaccine. So they're preparing for massive damage. They're saying it. The governor of New York is saying that he's assembling an army to make sure to distribute it. But yet, when we look for the Koch's postulate, they don't even have evidence it exists. I would say those are all crimes that are punishable, and they are malicious against humanity. So I will be drawing up that report. Actually, I've already drawn up that report. I'm going to submit that, though, later today to make sure that immediate action is taken by the GIA, because I think that's important, which might sound like there's 3 people, but it's kind of a...
There's a lot more than that. There's a lot more enforcement. I'm just talking about the directorate's office at this moment, not all of the enforcement that comes with all of us, both myself. Yeah.
People should be on the lookout for, mail from the directorate's office, because that'll be coming to a theater near you. All right. I think we're good for today.
Absolutely. I think that's it. Thank you so much, Viking, for joining us today.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Kim, for being you. And thank you, Tank.
And thank you, Tank.
Thanks for having me on. Look, I'm just glad to be on the show at all.
Let's do it. It's called the Great Rebellion in Project Looking Glass, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
We're on the
coming soon to a theater near you.
I look at it as the great revelation. We could go revolution and just keep spinning. I think we go revelation and everybody comes to the same understanding. I think that's a much better place to be. And maybe if everybody sees the same thing, that really is a rebellion against all the things that are trying to keep us down. So
I agree.
With that being said, folks,
everybody have a great night.
There you go.
Thanks for joining us live if you did, and thanks for joining the call. And let's go forward into next week and really get this done. Oh, think tanks. That's all I wanted to talk about. One more thing, think tanks. Okay, so the Viking here also was part of a major think tank, and I want all of you to consider. And I had the pleasure this week of joining a group that's already started as far as the think tank. So next time, maybe next week, or if we get time this week, we'll do it. We'll start to get into the different parts of the restoration plan and all that's required. But we need your input because we are at a point where they are falling very hard and very fast now. And we really need to put together the world that we want. So not me, the we, all the people. So we need to step up and kind of just contribute your ideas, your thoughts. If you want to change an industry, think about what happens next. If oil goes down, all the countries that will crash and all the people that won't be able to eat, right? So what do we have to put in its place? How do we fix that? How can we get alternative forms of transportation? I mean, our train systems are older than most people who are alive today. We need to, obviously renovate all of that. We need to get all of this done for all of us here. So, new financial systems, all kinds of things. We're at a breaking point right now where we could really use anyone and everyone for our think tanks and our planning centers. So we can put you in touch with people in your general area if you need to, but we'll go into more detail on what's required with think tanks, I think, next week, because I've talked long enough today.
No, you're good. So everybody out there, the reason why we have lifeforce.global, I mean, it's a global, it's a global group in association with people all over the world, but is for exactly the reason that Kim just said. This is all about restoring and really reclaiming our right as Kim was described, as the guardians and the ones responsible for this planet and for one another. So if we're going to revitalize the natural spirit of what all that humanity can be, should be, and will be, and is, those kind of powers latent in man, it's going to require that we come together to get it done. So we have set this app up, right? Because we want you to be able to get there for free and be, in a place where you can talk about these things. And there are groups from all over, and there's constantly new groups forming of people who have incredible ideas and things they want to talk about. And a lot of people contact me with projects and stuff. Go to the app and meet other people who are doing the same things you are. We'll set up the group for you, and you can connect with people all over the world as it's always been intended and planned. And one thing, everybody on that app should be in an assembly. You should be in an assembly in your state already, because as Kim mentioned last week, the assemblies are self-governing, right? It's the way for us to bring funds in according to the law. So everything that the assemblies have been doing is very, very valuable because it creates a court of record that we could say, we gave you notice. We're within our rights. We've already given you the opportunity to address this grievance, and you didn't even acknowledge the people, or you did, and you hurt them again. And then when action is taken against them to remove them or to whatever, we're well within our rights, or to have funding cut off. Or these are all things that we have the ability to do now, but the people have got to stand up and come together. So Kim calls it a think tank. The Viking, he said, the assemblies are just that. They are a think tank, and I agree with him. So,
did Thomas Melville had his hands up earlier? Just want to let you guys know.
Mr. Melville.
I probably need to make him co-host, so I'll do that.
Well, when you can find him, the restoration plan looks like this because everything is all interconnected. We cannot have one without the other one being fixed. So for example, in environmental cleanup, right? It's very important to our wellness and to our health and to our transportation, new modes of transportation, restoration of old transportation. So everything all ties in together, right? Shelter. And then of course you've got shelter. Right now we're using lumber, right? And then we'll have environmental, we have to have the right amount of planting, right amount of trees. Are we going to build canopy cities now because it's better for us? It certainly is better for us, by the way. So these are, every single area interconnects with one another. And then we have, of course, our water. Oh my God, which definitely ties in with this. And water restoration is a whole nother part of it, right? And then we have drinking water. Our water systems are ancient, even in the United States. There are parts of Europe where the water comes out of the tap brown, and parts of the United States where you can light it on fire. So we obviously have a big problem, right? So water is very important, also ties in with environmental cleanup at the same time, right? And then transportation, because you got to have pipelines, pipeways, however we're going to do it. Desalination, are we going to get it from the ocean? How do we want to make this happen? So that's all I wanted to point out, was that everything needs to be fixed. We are literally a mess, So
it's absolutely amazing, and we will have a lot more calls and discussions about this. But in all the pomp and circumstance, the lies that have been perpetuated, reported as facts, one of the most common things you hear about is things like global warming and this type of nonsense.
Yeah.
Within our network, right here on this call, we have so many inventors, it would blow your mind. One of the inventions is an actual freightliner that goes, from country to country, right across, and they're out at the open sea for like 6 days at a time. Most of your environmental pollution comes from them. So it's like 50% or 60% of the actual environmental pollution comes from these ships, right? There's only 6,000 on the whole planet, and most of the pollution comes from them. So there's a design, a functioning and fully workable design on this call right now that would reduce the time at sea by 2.5 days, which would already dramatically reduce the pollution, but that runs on seawater and emits no waste whatsoever. So here's the tragedy. That's here right now. We could do that. It would create all these jobs, industry, all these things. Today, we could do that in this country. We actually have the funding. We've already approved the project. It's because of these jackasses running things that progress for humanity gets held up. That we're still having a narrative about global warming and talking about transhumanism as they infect our kids with all this garbage. So at some point, we got to say, to all the black sun rejects and jerks in the government who think that they're better than you, live here too, and nobody else wants you.
And now you're stuck here. Welcome to hell.
So, and I don't really give a damn about any of them either, to be quite honest. I don't care if they get removed. And as far as I'm concerned, you can go ahead and keep resisting. Go ahead. All you do is just make it very obvious who's for the people and who's not. So keep running your mouth and doing your thing.
Viking Network.
The Viking Network. Yep. Fear the Reaper.
Fear the Reaper. That's right. Welcome to our world where you used to destroy our companies, destroy our lives when we didn't do whatever you wanted. Well, let me tell you how it works.
I'll tell you, that's my biggest. there is nothing that makes me more motivated than thinking how much they have tried to suppress us, how they have taken all this beauty, all these amazing qualities, and they were too dumb or too simple to appreciate them. So instead, they try to destroy them. So we need to revitalize that. So I won't let them make me mad anymore, though. So
We're
let's.
working on our anger issues, aren't we? And our
Kim and I do have some
our
anger
people
issues.
skills. Yes, we both have this, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, we have a good venting session at least once a week. That's not.
I was
for
just
public
wondering, can
consumption.
you say that, some of those words on here, like when you're on live? I don't think we've ever gone live before, have we?
No, I'm amazed we made it through the whole call without doing that. So
You let one out.
did I? Yeah,
Probably.
I can't
You
help it.
did.
These people make
Yep.
you want to cuss. So, all right,
You discussed a part of a donkey.
donkey.
You did.
All right, we're cool.
Thomas Melville.
Oh, Thomas.
Oh, you
Sorry,
made
guys.
it finally.
I am here. Thank you. Kim, for the first live recording on YouTube, I think you guys did a wonderful job. You laid it out exactly as it is. And
Not his.
I'm very proud of you guys. Very proud.
Thanks to Pro. He's a great coach.
Oh, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. I
He's
was
in the
watching
background
whole-
over there going,
No, it's great. It's great. I absolutely I'm gonna back everything Kim has said, and her and I have been through hell and back, I guess. But I think at this point, who cares about Black Sun? Who cares about any of these people, any of these individuals who think they're elitist, global elitists? We're at a time where now we're so far beyond them that it's now citizens of the world that are going to take over and do what's right for each other. So as long as we do that, we stick with each other, we'll be one. It'll be utopia on earth, literally.
we need to be ready. Please be ready.
So we will put out a very short video later today to break down some essential points that refer to the people and action that people can take later today. We'll put that out on
It's all
YouTube
about the
later
assemblies.
today,
We need
so
to
it's
learn.
simple that you can share with other people that might not be ready for all the stuff we talked about here today. But it's very, very important so that people understand how it works and so that they can be part of this actual change. So everybody,
Assemblies are think tanks
that's right.
in many ways.
I am also a think tank. So we're in. I'm in. Don't. Yeah. So bad jokes also will be included later. So
Hey,
okay. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here. We appreciate it. Kim, great work. And
Thank you,
Viking,
Kim. Mhm.
thank
And
you,
everybody.
everyone. Thank you for coming.
you.
Thank you, Viking, for joining us. We're so
Thank
happy
you.
to have you, and we look forward to working with you every day.
That sounds excellent.
Go by win. All right. Lisa, you got it shut down? We cool? You got it
Yeah,
shut
I'm
down?
good. I'll take it from here. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Tank. It was a
everyone.
great show.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
Sunday
Viking.
night.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.
Okay, bye, guys.